We are about to board our plane to Europe.
Toot toot!
I cannot wait.
Just taking a train.
That's what we're doing. We're at the train station. Toot toot.
Toot toot.
Aero train.
Yeah.
So it's really exciting.
A bunch of the shows are already sold out, but we still have a few tickets, including some extras in Edinburgh that we've just released, as well as Belfast, Dublin, Birmingham, and London. We'd love to see you at all of those shows. And then after our Do Go On tour wraps up, Matt's sticking around for a little bit longer to do some Who Knew It and some stand-up shows.
That's right. And you're joining me, Dave, as well on at the London show, doing the Who Knew It. And we've also got special guests at each show. The Lawmen are coming along to that one. Then also doing Leicester and Edinburgh. I absolutely can't freaking wait. Never been to Leicester before. Really excited. Got some cool guests. Haven't been fully locked in yet, but they sound like they're going to be sick.
So if you want tickets to any of these shows, go to dogoonpod.com and we'll see you there.
To make switching to the new Boost Mobile risk-free, we're offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
So why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Because you have nothing to lose. Boost Mobile is offering a 30-day money-back guarantee.
No, I asked why wouldn't you switch from Verizon or T-Mobile?
Oh.
Wouldn't.
Because you love wasting money as a way to punish yourself because your mother never showed you enough love as a child?
Whoa. Easy there.
Yeah.
Applies to online activations. Requires port in and auto pay. Customers activating in stores may be charged non-refundable activation fees.
If there's one thing that my family and friends know me for, it's being an amazing gift giver. I owe it all to Celebrations Passport from 1-800-Flowers.com, my one-stop shopping site that has amazing gifts for every occasion. With Celebrations Passport, I get free shipping on thousands of amazing gifts. And the more gifts I give, the more perks and rewards I earn. To learn more and take your gift giving to the next level, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Do Go On. My name is Dave Warnocky, and as always, I'm here with Matt Stewart.
Oh, it's so good to be here. So good to be alive, question mark. Somehow. I forgot to do the upward inflection, so I had to just whack on a question mark at the end there.
Audibly punctuate your sentences.
Hey, Dave,
Full
if you think it sounds different, it's because we're in a different room right now. We're still at Stupid Old Studios, but we're in a rehearsal space, which is not particularly well soundproof. So we're going to hear trams dinging. The mics won't pick it up, but we'll hear them.
Yeah, we'll be distracted.
We'll let you know.
We'll go there.
There
There was one.
Yeah.
I don't know if you caught that, and you won't be able to tell us because you'll be listening in the future.
And to keep our minds on track this week, because we're distracted by trams, we decided to bring in a tram expert. This week we are joined for, are we approaching the 20th time?
I believe this is the 18th.
Possibly the 18th time.
Probably 20th if you include a couple of bonus episodes.
Oh my goodness.
Including the Great Molasses Flood.
That you can hear now on Patreon.
Yum, yum, yum.
We are talking, of course, about our dear friend, Nick Mason. Hello.
It's great to be here. I am the furthest from a tram expert you can get. I think if you wanted a real tram expert, you want one of those guys that stands on the tram tracks with a camera as the tram approaches. That's a gunzel. That's what they call them.
Is that a term?
That's a real term.
So it's train spotters for trains and gunzels for trams?
Gunzel, yeah. Gunzel. It's a little,
tram spotter feels...
Do they come up with their own title?
No, so a gunzel, apparently I looked it up. So a gunzel, so in it like, you know, in like a mafia movie or like a crime film, like from back in the olden days, a gunsel, Gunsel, is like the mobster's henchman. And they would always put, and like those sort of movies, they'd always put themselves in dangerous situations. You know, you watch one of those old detective movies and they're always hanging off like a fire escape and then they take a few shots at the hero and the hero like shoots them and then they fall off the fire escape to their death or whatever.
That's a gunsel.
So that's a gunsul. Like
because they're on the windowsill.
Yeah, maybe. Guns, maybe. Okay, we're making history here, folks.
Or like they're trapped up like Rapunzel, and the only way down is to be shot off.
Yeah.
The fire escape.
That's exactly right. Rapunzel, bring down your hair, or else there will be consequences.
Yeah, they're like a damsel with a gun.
Maybe it's like a damsel with a gun.
Yeah.
But I think the idea was like that a gunsel in a movie always puts themselves in a dangerous situation to like get the shot, and that's what these tram spotters do. They always put themselves like in front of the tram as it's coming up. So then people were like, oh, they're gunzels.
Right.
And then it became the thing. So
And then you see these gunzels, and then what do you slow
you hit
down?
them.
Do you
You
speed
hit
up?
them.
What do you-
You speed up, you hit them.
That really feels
You make
like
it look like an accident.
they've given themselves the cool nickname, kind of like a Dave Warnicky calling himself Cobra kind of thing.
Yeah, that's what I can
Absolutely.
sense someone who's given themselves a nickname because I've been there.
That's right.
No, it's not Cobra, it's Cobra.
Oh,
Yeah.
he does the fangs with his
It
fingers.
did not take off.
I'm starting to call you Cobra.
Appreciate that.
It's warming on me.
But as I'm here, I demanded, I was diva move. I said, can we do it in a different room with no sound baffling?
Yeah, but you wanted natural light because we actually got a window out to the street in this. That's why it's
That's
a bit
true,
less soundproof
yeah.
this room. Yeah.
No sound baffling, but a lot of me being baffling. So
You've given me everything I wanted. You've given me a glass of water shaped like a skull.
Mm-hmm.
You've given me, without exaggeration, 50 feet of microphone cabling if I want to go walk about. So that's fun.
we bought this kit to be live ready. We didn't know how. Like, we bought it years ago. We could have been at the MCG by now. We didn't know.
Now, you might be wondering where Jess is this week. And can we all just say in unison, she's fine.
She's fine.
She's absolutely fine.
Sorry, James. Mosa's on delay, and so am I. James
I'm
was
also
on-
not even here. I'm not even here. I'm recording remotely.
We
They've
had
set up
James on
50
about-
feet of cabling, and then I'm on a Zoom call in the other room.
I'm so sorry to call
Yeah.
you James. That must infuriate you. I used to get Tom, my brother's name, all the time as a kid.
And he's not even on a podcast with you. So that's embarrassing. No, we get it all the time. James and I, of course, do a podcast called The Weekly Planet, and we very regularly get stuff attributed to the other guy. It's always like, James said that. And I'm like, I said that. How dare you? I said that fun joke. I said that good joke where I
I
made
said
it
that
work.
libelous thing.
I said that fun joke where I did a stupid accent. I said I did the funny voice. How dare you? You know? So that's fine. You get used to it. You know?
Yeah, I don't think of you two as similar at all, so it was weird that I did it. But we posted it last month. We posted a clip of last time we were on, and a lot of comments, maybe nearly all the comments were people saying, that's so weird seeing the voice coming out of that face.
We recently did, not to plug another podcast on this podcast, but we recently did Alexi Toliopoulos' podcast, The Last Video Store, and it's us on video for an hour. And there are so many comments that are like, those guys look weird. Those guys look weird talking.
They don't match the picture.
No.
Why? Because James, the first time I met James, I think it was even at his house, and it was I was stalking him, and I don't think he
met's a strong word.
He didn't have his photo online at the time.
Yeah.
And so I just filled in the blanks, and my picture was basically him, only had a long blonde surfy like hair.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
He wishes.
But he looked so similar, like he looked very similar how he looks, but just with like long shoulder length bleach blonde hair.
Wow.
And he shook it. He was always shaking the sand out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Sure, yeah. That's right. Before every podcast, he would just come up from the surf and put his surfboard in the corner and then shake his hair out and then be like, now there's a new Spider-Man movie. Let's talk about it. Yeah.
That's exactly how it was. Hey, Dave, what are we doing though?
We are not here to talk about James. But we do like one day, maybe he'll make the block vote next year. We are here to do the fourth most requested, most voted for topic of Block 2024, which may say, just in case you're not familiar with Block.
Oh, I'm familiar with Block. I know it.
Or pretend that you don't, so if people are tuned in for this topic, they know. Basically,
What's Block? I'm dumb.
What's that?
What's Block?
The movie character who's like the window or whatever. That's you. You know,
What?
for the people watching, is it the term like a?
Oh, I thought you meant an actual guy like Mr. Window.
I thought he was talking about the Gunstall again.
Oh yeah, the audience surrogate. I guess.
Surrogate,
Yeah.
yes.
I'm the audience surrogate. I'm just like you. I'm stupid.
You're the everyman. And so everyman, what Block is, we take it in turns every week to report on a topic. We do that year round, 52 weeks a year. But for the most joyous time of the year, Blockbustertober/Blowvember, which is what we're up to now, Matt puts out a big poll of our most requested topics, our biggest, baddest topics, and then thousands of people have voted, and we've been doing a countdown for the top 9 this year, because there are 9 weeks in October and November, and we're up to number 4, almost on the podium.
Yeah.
Oh yes, that's right. Yeah,
This is very, very exciting.
this is whatever is below bronze.
Yeah.
Wool.
It's probably the worst position to be because you've just missed out on medal.
In primary
That's- yeah.
school, it was at the athletics carnivals. It was the 4 got ribbons,
Yeah.
and I think it was blue ribbon for first, red for second, green for third, and white for fourth.
Okay, no
okay.
dye involved.
Yeah.
The cheapest one.
Yeah, very cheap.
Yeah, it was just offcuts.
Didn't even say it's just
Here's
a piece
something.
of cloth.
And I think those fourth place ribbons are why my generation can't afford a home. I think that's what people say.
That's right.
But anyway, yes, that's right. So this is the fourth most voted for topic. It got a huge chunk of the vote, as all the ones we're going through did. They vary from like 29% of the vote all the way to 24% of the vote.
There was like about 300 on the list.
No, there were over 400.
Okay, 400 on the list. It took Matt a full day to put the poll together.
really
It's good to know there's always interesting stuff left, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it's
like imagine if you did a Blocktober one year and there was just like 3 left, and you're like, oh, we got 3 more weeks, and then there's no more stuff.
We start
to talk
going
about.
back and we're like, you
Yeah.
did a block episode about Ninja Turtles once, and we're now doing Raphael.
That's right.
We're going to really hone in on Raphael. He's bad, he's rude, but what makes him tick?
And if you're wondering about the maths there, you can vote for more than one topic. So this one, more than 1 in 4 people wanted us to
Yeah,
do this
about
one.
1 in, you're just over, I think, 1 in 4.
Amazing.
Wow.
So you know what's going to be big.
Oh, it's going to
it's
be bigger,
gonna
right?
be.
And we always start with the question now, because we've had to divvy it up. Usually we have no idea, me, Matt and Jess, what the other's going to talk about. But I know because we've had to divide it up. So I thought, Matt, you could ask the question to Meso.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because he
One-on-one.
actually has no idea.
I could guess.
Mano e Meso.
Here we go.
All right, the question is, and I know you're a big Americanophile.
Oh, yeah.
The question is, what was the 18th Amendment to the U.S. Constitution?
Oh, no. I know the guns one, and that's guns are cool.
Yeah.
And then there's...
Gunsel.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
The Gunsel Amendment.
Guns are cool. Respect your parents. That's an amendment, I think.
Yes. Parents are cool.
Yeah, honour thy mother and father. That's
This
the one.
one is one of the ones that is something isn't cool, and they banned it.
Oh, it's not cool.
Yeah.
Dancing plagues? They banned the dancing plague?
No more dancing plagues.
No, thank you. Trucks.
Yeah. Remember when they banned trucks?
Yeah,
It
okay.
didn't take. No, this one didn't last for. It lasted
Oh,
less
is
than
this prohibition?
It is prohibition.
Whoa, well done.
Wow.
I didn't know you were also a man of 1,000 noises. But
I got some noises.
Oh, I got some noises.
I got a number of voices that represent our shared listenerships. I'll listen to Do Go On. I listen to The Weekly Planet. Anyway, sorry.
It wasn't. But you were talking about gangsters before, and they're heavily involved in this.
I was so excited when he brought up gangsters.
Yeah.
I was so excited. I was thinking, he doesn't know.
He doesn't even know.
what
How could he? So it's been suggested, of course, by a lot of people, including Sophie from Melbourne, Chris Lashke from St. Louis, Missouri, Jack Taylor from Brisbane, Steve from Adelaide-ish, Sam Douglas from Adelaide in South Australia. Obviously, they're very fascinated with it over there. Liz Lefevre from Dallas, Texas, Jay Swan from Milwaukee, Wisconsin, Kevin Raitt from Long Island, New York, Aaron Wolf from Daytona Beach, Alex and Megan from Austin, Texas. Stay weird.
Stay weird.
Stay
Alex and Megan.
That's their state slogan, so I like to say it to them because I relate to them on that way. I stay weird, they stay weird.
Well, I'm very normal.
Yeah, you are.
Thank you.
Aviva, how good is this name? Aviva Wolf Manus from
that's good.
Baltimore in Maryland.
Aviva Wolfman as well.
Emmy White from Albuquerque, New Mexico. Love your work, Emmy White. A regular contributor to the Who Knew It with Matt Stewart show. Writes sort of specializes in weird headlines.
Must work in weird news.
Yes.
Writes for Ripley's Believe It or Not.
I think she actually just finished her doctorate in something like.
Oh, wow.
It's overqualified for the role. Anyway, Tori McCleskey from Brooklyn in the United States and Keith Ross from Cork in Ireland. So yes, before I talk about America's prohibition, I'm going to head back a century or so to talk about why it came about. I should have, in hindsight, written about prohibition and then said, "Oh, do I need to expand this out any further?" But no, I started from way before.
He started with the birth of Christ.
I started with the birth of Christ. I wrote a full report, and liquor hadn't even been invented yet.
Water to wine.
Water had been wine. Yeah, that's true.
That's true. Yeah, that's where I got up to.
And then people were like, "There's got to be a better way. We can't all channel God's energy into a water or whatever."
Yeah.
Oh,
Or
how
can
that
we?
work? Maybe we can.
Maybe we can.
Maybe we can.
Yeah, we get Jesus working one of those like like Henry Ford style factories.
Oh, like assembly line.
Yeah.
It's just him standing in an open factory.
That's the sound of him turning water into wine.
Sorry, Jesus, we're going to need to pick up the pace here. We've got a big order.
Do you have any mates who can also do this? Can your disciples do this? Because we get 12 of them going along in a line. We can speed this up.
We can do a slab every, we want 24 of you, do a slab at a time. Think about it. Think about it, Jesus. Anyway, so yes, I'm going to go back about a century, talking a bit about why it came about. Read a book, both with my ears and my eyes, called Prohibition, A Concise History by historian W.J. Rorabaugh. And I'm going to quote from Rorabaugh a little bit.
I love that.
Rorabaugh writes, after the American Revolution, a plentiful supply of cheap, untaxed whiskey made from surplus corn on the western frontier caused alcohol consumption to soar. Whiskey cost less than beer, wine, coffee, tea, or milk, and it was safer than water. So
that's a dangerous combo.
It was. Americans couldn't get enough of it. Safer to drink than water is pretty wild. And obviously it plays a big role in it. In the late 1700s, water was dangerous.
And still is to this day.
Yeah.
Full of sharks.
Piranhas.
Piranhas, exactly.
Wow.
Yeah.
You can drown.
You can drown even if there's no sharks or piranhas.
Yeah, water will just kill you by itself.
Yeah, we should ban water. Has that ever been banned?
I don't think it has. That's a good point. I'm going to write a letter to the president, whoever that might be. Yes. As Anastasia Miller and Jared Brown write for Difford's Guide, which is like a great resource, but it's all coming from the alcohol angle. Like they're from the lovers of alcohol.
Oh, right. Big alcohol.
I wish there was a name for that. Someone who just loves alcohol, they can't get enough of it,
It controls their lives.
Yeah.
Every decision they make.
Maybe we'll coin one by the end of the episode.
Yeah.
But anyway, Miller and Brown.
Friends to booze.
Oh, my God.
Yeah. Friends to the booze.
Friends to the booze. Bit of a taboos, though, isn't it? Is it? That's the kind of joke I reckon I could write for Frasier.
Sure.
Can you imagine Frasier saying that to Niles? I think we got a hit on our hands.
I think they're coming back for a new season, right?
Are they? I might send in a package. Just like a package of soaps and stuff saying, let me write for you.
He likes caviar.
Oh, caviar.
You should send him a fancy
caviar and soap.
Yeah. That's right.
So Miller and Brown were talking about how water was bad news back then, but they are very pro-alcohol, I should say that. They said that water would carry things like typhoid, cholera, E. coli, and dysentery. None of those are good.
No.
Especially when you got a whiskey just there,
Yeah.
I want to have one of them. Is that the kind of thing that'll be picked up on a microphone?
Oh, doubtful. Certainly not going to go for 20 minutes until that guy comes and turns his car alarm off.
Yeah, there is a very
Anyway, there
loud
it is.
car.
Oh, he turned it off quite quickly.
Does anyone find it fascinating that car alarms still exist? Like, what? Have you ever heard a car alarm? You better investigate that.
Yeah, I better go check on my neighbour's car.
Well, you saw us all jump to action, didn't you?
Hey, are you still in that car? It's more like, oi, dickhead, turn your alarm off. That's all you
Trying
do.
to sleep.
Is there a place on this car I can kick it so the alarm will switch off?
My first car had one. It just,
Ooh la la.
it was like a fourth-hand car. It just had one and an immobilizer on it. And it would go off regularly in the middle of the night. No one was stealing that car. But I'm living in the bungalow out the back of my parents' place, and I woke up so many times just leaping and sprinting out the front with a meep meep. I'm so sorry, everybody. I don't know how to stop it. I don't know where it is. It's in the car somewhere. It's coming from inside the car. So anyway, so water was bad. And this wasn't a recent development that people were drinking alcohol to avoid dangerous water. Miller and Brown continue, from Shang Dynasty China through to the Age of Enlightenment, humans knew that a cup of wine, a tumbler of beer, a dram of spirit could keep your digestive system intact and help you live past 30. The simple fact was that humans began to live longer after the discovery of fermented and distilled beverages.
This does sound like the tobacco industry writing about cigarettes.
Yeah.
Honestly, the only way to get a cool, refreshing feeling and live past 45 is to smoke Marlboro Red.
It'll fix whatever ails you. Marlboro Red. At the dawn of the 19th century, when water was downright dangerous, the average American consumed about 7 gallons of spirits per year, consisting mostly of rum, brandy, gin, and whiskey. I don't really know what a gallon is, but I know it's a lot of.
Is it like about 3 litres ish?
Yeah, I don't think it. You probably would need more water than that in a year, though. More than 7 gallons.
7 gallons. That's on average. An average American. I assume that includes babies.
Oh yeah, they need less. I think
They have less. So yeah.
they
rubbed a bit on their gums.
Yeah, they need a thimbleful a day. I think.
Little
of water. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Hit me again. Hit me again, Mama.
I'll let you know when I've had enough.
Rorabaugh writes, by the 1820s, the average adult white male drank half a pint of whiskey a day.
All right. That's a bit.
So it seems, while whiskey was less dangerous than water, it had its own issues.
Name one issue with drinking half a pint of whiskey a day every day of your life.
It's just like it was standard. People were at work. Everyone was just drunk all the time. It was just the standard thing.
It was the only way to live past 35.
Yeah.
And there were negatives to that. Rorabaugh writes, liquor corrupted elections, wife beating and child abuse were common, and many crimes were committed while the perpetrator was under the influence. But also the people who were having the crime done to them were under the influence. The shopkeeper's being robbed, but he's also drunk. The cops arrive, they're drunk.
And everybody's living past 35. So
yeah, that's right.
Who's to say whether it's bad or not?
Time flies, though, because you're just having such a good time.
That's right.
It doesn't feel like you're living that long. But anyway, all this led to a big backlash, especially from evangelical Protestants. And they began to organise around their opposition to the demon drink. At first, the target was just spirits. They wanted Americans to focus on less alcoholic beverages like beer and wine. Like, just make this switch. They take the healthy option. Drink, half a litre of beer a day.
Ah, right. Trying to ease them off a bit.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But unfortunately...
Suck on a cocaine lozenge instead, The healthy option prescribed by your doctor.
Yeah.
Just take the edge off.
They, exactly. Like every medicine was crazy back then. Yeah, opium.
It's good.
Get off that
That was
alcohol.
the slogan on the post. Opium, it's good.
No downsides here.
Opium never gave you cholera.
That's right.
So they...
Opium, all the things they said about whiskey, it's the same. They're still good. Just as good. We'll steal your slogans. What are you going to do?
They wanted people to get off the whiskey, but whiskey was so much cheaper and readily available. Like beer was not as available in country towns and stuff. If you wanted it, it was in the cities. Wine was only really big in California by the sounds of it.
You know this as a beer man, Matt. Has beer always been fizzy?
Oh,
or did it used to be flat beer?
Yeah. I think it... Oh, man.
All right, because it'd be harder to transport and keep...
Because I know fresh. Old English ales and stuff, real ales, they're not fizzy. They're
thick.
Yeah, they hand pump them.
Yeah.
And I would have thought syrup. Like mead and stuff, like going back to those old school ones.
Yeah, right.
I assume that's all just sort of flat.
Flattish. Okay, right.
So you can slam it down fast.
That's right.
Low on the fizz. So you can slam it down fast. You remember that ad, Dave?
I loved it.
Such a good ad. And wasn't it? It was like Joel Creasy's dad.
Oh,
was the solo man.
Yeah. Isn't it amazing?
Very cool.
I mean, someone had to be.
Yeah, that's
why
true.
not Joel Creasy's dad,
Why not?
If he didn't do it, somebody else would have stepped up,
I would have.
Yeah.
I was about to put my hand up. I was actually pretty PO'd.
Pictures of the post by Joel Creasy's dad.
Yeah. Again. The evangelical Protestants, they weren't into the booze. They started campaigning for Americans first to give up whiskey or to beer, and then eventually just to voluntarily give up all alcohol altogether. They're like, do it. Just
give up fun. It's fine. Replace it with nothing. Don't even worry about it.
Does sound like they're saying give up liquid.
Yeah, drink poison water.
It really started picking up when potable water became more available.
Right, less of an excuse then, isn't there?
Yeah.
Sorry, I need this to live.
$1 pots of water down at the pub.
Yeah. And apparently,
Yeah, I'm loving this. This is good. This is good stuff.
keep it coming, Keith.
I'll let you know when I've had enough.
So yeah, I think those two things together was the evangelical Protestants were pushing it. Water was safer. That all seemed to start working quite well by 1840. I've got the millennium bug where I change every start of the century to the 1900s.
Yeah,
I can't stop.
You can't stop.
It's addictive.
I'm reading 18, but I'm saying 19. I can't help it. So yeah, by 1840, Rorabaugh reckons about half of Americans had taken the pledge. They all just went cold turkey on booze.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was working. But you can sort of understand as well. It's like, it just seems like if you were drinking, you were binge drinking every day.
Yeah. But again, in the pledge, are they counting the babies again?
Yeah. Every day, more sober people are being born. So like I was saying, safe potable water had become more readily available, and that was another big influence on people giving away the booze. As Miller and Brown wrote, as New York's population began to burst at the seams, the cry for fresh water prompted the city in 1837 to construct an aqueduct to convey water from 40 miles north in Croton, apologies for the pronunciation, didn't look it up, to a reservoir situated in what eventually became Central Park. Liquor consumption waned with the arrival of fresh cold water, and not just in New York. It is estimated that by 1845, American alcohol consumption nosedived from 7 gallons a year to just over 1.5 gallons a year.
Nerds. I'm a bunch of nerds.
And a lot of people have given it up. There's like someone out there who's really putting in
That's right.
the hard yards.
Yeah,
They're doing
yeah,
150
yeah.
gallons a year.
Be one of those guys that's like, oh, you're not going to eat bacon? Well, I'm going to eat twice as much bacon. What do you think about that? It's the same, but it's a guy who's like, oh, you're not going to drink 7 gallons of whiskey? Well, I'm going to drink 14 gallons of whiskey. What do you think about that? Oh, all my internal organs have failed. Well, serves me right, I suppose.
Was that because of the bacon or the whiskey? Probably
Who knows?
both.
Probably, yeah. I'm exclusively drinking bacon wrapped whiskey now.
That does sound good.
Yeah. Tell you what, a fresh glass of water, a cold glass of water. Let me tell you, God, so good.
And imagine having not been able to drink it before.
Right?
I could see myself really starting to hoe in.
Yeah, there's no sludge in this.
Yeah.
There's no bits. There are probably some bits.
Yeah.
But there's less bits than
Oh,
there
wouldn't
were.
be. And they probably don't have the teeth stuff that they put in here, which controls our minds.
Fluoride.
Fluoride, yeah. But because it controls my mind, I say it's good. But yeah, so the numbers dropping right down. But the reformers, they thought that's not enough.
Yeah, there we
don't
go.
want it down to 1.5 gallons a year. We want no one drinking ever. We don't want it, and we don't want you to either.
Biggest nerds of all.
So America was split. And it
Between
was
babies and adults.
That's right.
babies and adults is one way you could call it. They were split into 2 factions. You know what the 2 factions were called?
I don't know.
Snobs and slobs.
That's better. They were dries and wets.
Dries and wets.
Oh, wow.
Now, you're a wet. Is that
I'm a
right?
wet.
Yeah.
I had a beer last night at the pub. Do you mind saying?
Yeah, I'm an occasional wet.
I think I'm
Yeah.
an occasional
You're-
wet as well. Yeah.
Yeah. So you're
Yeah.
sort of more of, you're both moist.
Yeah, we're a
Yeah,
couple of
that's
moist
right.
boys.
Continually
Hashtag
moist.
boys. If you're out there listening, hashtag moist boys. Let's get that going for Block. Hashtag Blocktober. Hashtag moist boys.
Moist boys. I think that could be big.
Yeah. See, because I think, like, being a wet would be the cooler thing to do, but I think being a dry, that's a cooler name. You don't want to be a wet.
I'm a wet boy.
Yeah.
Sounds like
wetty.
you've had an accident.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah.
The wets and the dries.
And Matt, you're a team wet, having made 2 documentary series on beer.
Yeah, you're a full wet.
Yeah, well, I'm pro-choice. I'll say that.
But only in some things.
Which I think, inherently that's what the wets are. The wets aren't saying you all have to drink, but the dries are saying you all shouldn't drink.
That's very true. Though it is very funny to think that there would probably be a very small faction of the wets who are like, no, you should all drink.
Yeah.
There's people at a pub that are like, why aren't you having a beer? Why aren't you having a beer?
Yeah,
Come on,
that
what's
is
going
true.
on?
Oh, you're our designated driver, are you? Well,
Okay, well, take an Uber. I don't
What are
care.
you, pregnant?
Yeah, you're allowed to have 1 per hour.
yeah.
Oh, you got
for
work
the
in the
baby,
morning.
1 an hour.
Yeah. Oh, you're sick. Who cares? Have a whiskey.
It feels like that they're people who've never quite grown out of being a teenage like a try hard.
Yeah.
What are you, a loser? You're not even drinking tonight.
Oh, I'm about to do something embarrassing and I don't want you to remember it. So you drink as well.
Yeah, that is pretty much it, I think. Yep. I feel bad about this. Not too far below the surface. And you're making me contemplate that. Okay, so there was this one dedicated dry. There's so many great characters in this, and despite this episode probably being really long, I'm only going to briefly talk about a lot of them, and they could probably all have their own episode just about. There was this one lecturer who had a great name, Dio Lewis, and he'd travel around. This is how he made his living, traveling around small towns and saying, gathering up a crowd and going, "Oi, drinking's bad. You should all knock it off."
How did he make money out of that? How did
guess
he
he passed the hat
monetize
around.
that? Okay, right.
I think he had a Patreon.
You guys are all bad people for drinking, and you should stop drinking. Put the money in the hat, please.
$10 each. That's how much you'll be saving for me. So you're actually making money if you give me $10 right now.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
That's right. You got to take the pledge, and that pledge will cost you $4.99.
According to Rorabaugh, in December of 1873, which, funnily enough, is the year the St Kilda Football Club was formed.
I knew that was the reason you wanted to do this topic.
That's right. Yeah, there it is.
Well, it was about a year ago that I did probably the only episode longer than this one, which is Jess was also sick for. So there's a bit of a tradition.
She hacking into your Google Docs and seeing the word count.
She checks the word. She gets an alert on the word count and feigns sickness whenever it slips above 7,000. But anyway, in December of 1873, this guy, Dio, gave a series of talks in Hillsborough, Ohio, God's country itself. And the effect of the evangelical Protestant women in the town at his presentations, Rorabaugh describes as electrifying.
Oh, yeah. He sounds like he's got that charisma.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I get I'm seeing his situation.
Yeah,
right?
he's turning these jars wet, if you know what I mean.
Just three boys here. Just three
Just
very moist boys having a fun time.
Boys having a bit of fun.
I get I like how instantly there's like a grift involved now. Immediately the people are like, how can I make a buck out of this? There's a moral issue here. How can I make some coin out of this?
And you can picture him during Prohibition just flipping and going town to town going, we should bring back alcohol. Yeah. Who's with me?
Yeah, we
pass the hat around.
We flip all the towns to dry and then I do another lap.
It's like they're playing America's like a board of Othello. You know? It's that game where you flip the black and white sides. It's a reference everyone would understand and enjoy.
I played it in like on a phone, and obviously it's instant. But back when you're playing Othello
Little
years
Magnus,
ago,
so much fun.
It would have taken ages.
Yeah, back in my day, we had a little board.
Spent half your life flipping white or
black. That was to me. That was the fun bit. So Rorabaugh goes on. So talking about the women found electrifying, moistening, and looking around Hillsborough.
Just three boys.
Well, I don't understand. I mean, dryifying.
Oh yeah.
So they started seeing the town through a different lens. There are all these raunchy saloons, and they're looking at them going, "Hang on, he's right. This is no good." We're like pretty hardcore religious people and we want to tell these guys to knock it off. So Rorabaugh writes, dozens of women descended upon one saloon, entered this all-male sanctuary and proceeded to pray on their knees and sing hymns. They said they would leave as soon as the seller agreed to close the business. That was it. They're like, we'll stop singing these hymns on our knees only when you go out of business.
Basically being like, we will ruin the pub experience for you, so you may as well close it.
Get ahead of this. And apparently it worked. Several saloon keepers quickly capitulated, which put more pressure on the others to conform, and within a short time, Hillsborough went dry.
I can only imagine how bad their singing must have been.
Yeah, right. If it was entertaining, they would the pub owner would be like, come and see the screaming women. What a time.
The singing kneelers.
Just saying, hey, there's a stage over there. If you want to kneel up there, that'd be great.
Yeah, so people can see you. Kneeling down, it's probably... they have put in raked seating.
But it's the equivalent of when you get on the train and a guy comes into your carriage and he sets up a guitar and he's like, here we go. Here we go, folks. And you're like, oh.
Does that ever happen on the tram?
No.
I'm more used to seeing someone come on with a speaker that's not up to the job and pumping out tunes.
But with the train, you can go like carriage to carriage. You can do the whole thing.
Busking as they go.
Yeah.
When I was in New York last year, 4 guys get on and I thought, oh no, because they put a little backing track on, they'll start clicking.
Oh, God.
And I'm like, oh no. But then they had the best soul voices I've ever heard. Perfect harmony. I'm like, and they at the end they do one song, pass that around. I'm like, yeah, take my money. That was fantastic.
Where were we in New York?
New York.
I mean, you know, that's you.
That's the city that never sleeps.
Yeah.
That's the windy city that never sleeps.
I went from being like, oh, to being like, yeah, another one.
Because you're used to those people get on a train in Melbourne.
Oh, please.
They can't sing.
Please. No. But they had moves too. They were sort of in unison, 4 moving their hands to get. Oh.
I bet you could have picked the locals though. The locals wouldn't have been so excited.
Was that the 4 remaining members of NSYNC minus Justin Timberlake? Is that who it was?
So back to Rorabaugh. News of the Hillsborough campaign spread in the newspapers, including the temperance press, the temperance movement, of course, being the part of the dry movement. And evangelical women in other small towns in Ohio and western upstate New York also took direct action. Thus was born the Women's Crusade of 1873 to 1874. Middle-class women dried up dozens of small towns, but when anti-liquor reformers in larger towns led similar movements, they met defiance and resistance. In big cities, the reaction was fierce. In Cincinnati, praying women were locked out of the saloons, which admitted only regular customers, and a few salon keepers' wives located in upstairs apartments dumped the contents of chamber pots upon their heads of the protesters.
Oh, wow.
Just dropping their
juices.
Their juices, yeah.
Whoa.
Their wets.
Yeah, my God.
You're too dry down there.
Yeah. Oh, you don't want to get wet? Well, will.
Don't mix up your wets, folks. Don't do it.
Is this the first instance of getting like a nightclub bouncer? So you line up and then they say, are you here to protest or drink? Oh, protest.
Anyone wearing knee pads?
I think bouncers should bring back emptying the chamber pot on troublemakers. Not with those shoes. They're covered in feces.
Here's the poo.
Yeah.
They didn't even have to really figure it because women generally weren't admitted into these places, so they stood out a fair bit. Which is something that Prohibition really changed. Like we'll talk about later, but women started going to bars.
Nice.
Amazing. It's pretty amazing how nearly every motivation that the people who want the dries had sort of got flipped and made worse because of Prohibition. Although the demonstrators were mostly peaceful, rocks occasionally broke barroom windows and sellers learned to shutter their windows before the Crusaders arrived. They were usually peaceful, but sometimes they did throw rocks.
Yeah.
They throw Molotov cocktails, but you need an empty bottle of booze for that. Yeah. So where are they going to get one?
Yeah. They need some sort of solid TNT, something like that.
Yeah,
Dynamite.
sure. Yeah. It's a slippery slope, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Women played a huge role in the temperance movement. One of the key groups on the dry side was the Women's Christian Temperance Union, the WCTU, which was founded in 1874 on the back of this whole, what do we call it? The Women's Crusade.
Right.
Led by President Francis Willard, the group campaigned to dry out America at local, state and federal levels. And during the final decades of the 1800s, the WCTU was the main organisation campaigning for anti-liquor legislation. While results varied, Prohibition gained quite a bit of success in rural areas where the evangelical churches had the strongest followings. So they were starting bit by bit. Some states almost, but in other states like towns and areas, and they're sort of like growing out the dry areas.
Right, being like, our town is too small to have a pub, but if it did have one, there'd be no alcohol there, and that sort of spread.
And then there were sort of clever rules that were, because it was growing popularity, but not everyone was on board. So they'd get laws passed at local levels, like in our town or in this area, saloons are illegal, but not within a 3-mile radius or whatever of schools or hospitals. And like the town,
so you could get a drink and go to school. Okay, that was within the rules. Okay, that's
you couldn't have one within a radius, but that radius took in the whole town. The school's in the middle of the town. So,
right.
So they sort of they're legal here. You just have to have it like in the middle
I think
of
we got to move. I think we got to move the school, folks.
Yeah.
We're going to move the school. We're going to move the school.
Just moving the school
We're
into
going to
the
move
bush.
it. I mean, there's an avalanche-prone hill. We'll put it under there.
Yeah.
That's fine, and then it's out of the radius, and then we can have a drink.
Willard, the president of the WCTU, used the motto, do everything.
Okay.
Oh, that's very Nike, isn't it? That's a good slogan. If that's still available, I'd probably take
I
that.
think it might have come back into the public domain.
right.
Do everything.
Do everything.
Don't mind if I do. Everything.
Is it like this at all costs type thing?
Because it's sort of the opposite of what they're preaching, right? They're like, don't do everything, hardly do anything when it comes to
it's
alcohol.
mixed messaging, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do everything. I will. Thank
Okay,
you.
thank you. So no, we don't mean it like that.
Yeah, I'll have a daiquiri. No.
And I'll do some hardcore drugs.
Because the motto wasn't used to the outside world, to the wets. It was used inward. They're
It's
saying,
like by any means necessary,
Yeah,
stop people from having
that's
a drink.
right. And
Okay,
it
right.
also talking about the kind of campaigning that work they want to do. Whatever means the most to you, do that. Do everything. Do anything. Do everything. Gordon Rorabaugh, using the motto, do everything.
It's very vague, isn't it? It's the guy up the top's a real ideas man. He's a big picture guy. Hey, what should we do to stop people drinking? Oh, everything. Do everything.
Well, you said,
Should
man.
we protest out front of the pub? Yeah, that's everything, isn't it? Do that. Yep.
You said ideas, man, but this isn't. Women can be ideas, man,
That's
too.
so true.
Mate, so.
Yeah.
They can do everything.
That's so true, isn't it?
I've just been
We should
saying.
trademark that. I reckon if we say it enough times, it's ours.
Yeah.
Do
I reckon,
everything.
Yeah.
We can own that.
Back to Rorabaugh. So, yeah, using the motto, do everything, WCTU members specialised in whatever reform was closest to their hearts. A committed feminist, Willard pushed women's suffrage, which attracted many women. Under Willard, the WCTU grew to become the largest women's organisation in the US with 200,000 members in 1890. She also travelled to Europe and in 1891 established the world's WCTU, the WWCTU, and she put herself in as president. This was the first global women's organisation, and it coordinated with women's anti-liquor groups in Germany, Scandinavia, the UK, India, and Australia. Willard was closely linked to the Republican Party, which led to some difficulties in the South. Apparently, like, you know how the modern political landscape, people say, oh, the intellectuals, what do you call them? The elites.
Yeah.
The
liberal elites.
The shandy sipping elites or whatever
the
they say.
wokerati.
Yeah. So I think that, and she was sort of in the Times version of that, which was associated more with Republicans in the North. But in the South, it was more, the women like that were more likely Democrats. So that led to some problems for her. She's like strong Republican and then trying to move it down there. And they're like, we don't like Republicans. We're Democrats. Like, oh. So she had to separate a bit to make it work down there. And in the end, anyway, she started to grow impatient with both major parties, especially her closer allies in the Republican Party, because of their reluctance to move strongly on prohibition. She's like, you're one of the big parties.
Classic big party.
Yeah.
Doesn't want to make a decision.
Not putting
Bloody
themselves
those
on the
big
line.
parties. Yeah.
Apart, when they're in opposition, they often do. We would really fix this up if we were in.
Yeah,
think
whatever
we'd fix it,
you're
yeah.
doing would do the opposite.
Yeah, and
You're
better. And better.
All right. You remember when you said you'd do something? Now you're in. You want to do something? Oh, we're still cleaning up the mess of the last
Yeah,
one.
that's right. You've been in for 8 years. Yeah, but those guys 15, 16 years ago, they did a really bad job.
Yeah, what a mess they left. And there's still a lot of work to do.
We see both sides over here at Do Go On.
Yeah. Wets and dries.
Wets and dries.
We're pro wet, pro dry.
We're moist. Yeah. Is that what you want to go out and say who you are supporting in any upcoming elections?
Well, everyone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I vote multiple times.
Vote for everyone.
Yeah, vote for everyone. That's what I say. Yeah. I know a guy, so they just let me keep coming back in and you vote. Just
New
keep
name.
Voting. Yeah.
It's really, and it's great because it cancels all the votes out. So
Exactly.
No.
So I always come out on top.
yeah, exactly.
That's right.
And I always vote for the winner,
Yeah, that's right.
whoever it is. And just in case, I'm voting on some of those weird little parties.
That's right.
Like the no alcohol party, which I'm going to keep my eyes peeled for. I bet there is one in Australia, probably.
I vote for the no alcohol party. I vote for the only alcohol
Yeah.
party.
I vote for a little bit of alcohol party when you've
that's right.
had a good day.
Yeah. I vote for put alcohol in the water supply party,
Yeah, I vote for the put fluoride in the alcohol party.
That's exactly right.
Dry extremists from both the Republicans and the Democrats splintered off to form the Prohibition Party. And as we all know them by name, and I think they're still one of the major players.
No, there's a chance that they've just won the election.
Yeah, they could. They may have. And things went pretty well. Arguably, they got some votes. In 1884, their presidential nomination was former Republican governor of Kansas, John St. John.
Good name. Pretty good.
Pretty solid. John St. John. I think the parents might have been a little drunk at the time. Willard, when you accidentally fill in the surname and the first, you got to mix it.
But this is before
another form, but I can.
Yeah.
This is before Whiteout.
That'll do.
Yeah.
And it was before Whiteout.
Yeah.
So. Willard publicly backed him, John St. John, but her organisation, the WCTU, did not. So she's the president, and they're like, no, I think they were mainly sticking with, the majors. According to Rorabaugh, John St. John won 1.5% of the vote. The Prohibition Party's presidential vote peaked in 1892 with 2.25% of the vote, and it started dipping after that. As critics noted at the time, Willard's do-everything policy and her political gyrations, the fact that she jumped ship sort of, weakened the ability of the WCTU either to enact prohibition or to influence the two major parties that were key to political success. It's just kind of be like, fair enough, but she was trying to do that first, and that also didn't work.
That's true, yeah. Mm-hmm.
What if I just try to influence the Republican Party from within? That would have worked. Well, it didn't work, buddy.
That's right.
I was trying that for years.
That's right. And also, it doesn't sound like they're offering anything else. It's not like they're like, we're going to improve infrastructure or whatever. They're just like, no.
One
all
issue
the stuff
party.
You like? No.
Yeah,
vote for
everyone's
us.
like, well, what are you going to do with the hospitals?
Yeah.
Well, there won't need to be hospitals because no one will be drinking. Okay.
That's jeez.
They should do what happens, when you in primary school when they want to, elect a class president or whatever. Just promise Coke in the drink taps and stuff like that.
Deep fryer in the canteen.
Yeah, that's right.
I've said this heaps on the show, I'm sure.
No,
but
don't work.
When I was in year 7, a guy got voted to be school captain of my high school because he promised, if you vote for me, I'll grow an afro.
Oh, yeah, nice. And
the whole school voted for him.
And did he?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, nice.
By the end of the year, he looked awesome.
Yeah. Do you think he was going to grow the afro anyway?
Yeah, I reckon.
Yeah, wow.
Single issue party.
Single issue.
Willard died in 1898 before seeing her dream of a dry America realised. A couple of years after her death, another strong woman took up the cause, and she had God on her side. Her name was Carrie Nation.
Oh, that's good. That's a good name.
Middle initial A?
Yeah, Carrie Nation on her back.
Wow.
She was big. She was like a 6-foot woman, like a really tall woman for the time. And yeah, she was suggested specifically by a few listeners, including Aaron, Alex, Megan, Austin, Aviva, and Emmy. And so I'm just going to briefly talk about her.
Carrie Nation is the best.
Carrie Nation. According to Brown and Miller, in June of 1900, God spoke to Carrie Nation. She was a 6-foot-tall, Kentucky-born advocate of temperance who now gained divine approval for her cause. She's like, God told me, I gotta stop this. He wants me to do it, so I'm going to get out there and I'm going to stop people drinking.
Wow, so weird because there's another guy down the road who said, God told me last night that I've got to sell whiskey to everyone. What? How does this happen?
What's going on?
Oh, Carrie.
And he works in mysterious ways.
There's been a mix-up.
So responding to this epiphany, she gathered several rocks, which she called smashes, this is what I think God sort of probably worded up on this stuff as well. Then she went to Dobson's Saloon in Kiowa, Kansas, and announced, quote, "Men, I have come to save you from a drunkard's fate." She then decimated the saloon's entire stock with her arsenal.
So it's just her.
Just her.
Her and a lot of rocks.
And I gotta say to pedants out there that was Brown.
There wouldn't be any pedants listening to this.
That was Brown and Miller's used the word decimated there. I know someone out there's going decimated.
Reduced by a tenth.
Because I think she reduced it by 100th.
Yeah, we're using it in the sense of smashed up real good.
Yeah.
Carrie, this is God. Collect some rocks. You can call them whatever you want. Smash is God. Yeah, that's good, actually.
I like that. That's really good.
That's really good, actually. I'm more a big ideas guy. Anything you want to do is fine.
Yeah, do everything.
Yeah, do everything.
That's kind of my motto.
Yeah.
God, did you steal that from the WCTU?
Well, it's-
No. I came up with them as well.
Yeah, I
came up with them, so
exactly. I created everyone, so everything I create, I technically created.
Yeah. So she's doing this, wielding a hatchet as well, and
she's just like in the bar smashing bottles.
She just literally went in, said, "I'm here to save you, all, fellas." Just started smashing up all the bottles till there were none left. Off I go. She went to 2 more saloons in that town and then continued on for the following decade, going town to town.
I'm sorry, she wasn't arrested for destroying
She was arrested
everything?
more than 30 times.
Oh my God.
Oh, well.
You swear you won't do it again, Carrie Nation? Yeah, I swear. I don't know why she's a small Australian. What's your Kentucky accent again, Dave?
Yeah, I'm from Kentucky.
That's probably fine. You're doing like I'm not a big city lawyer kind of voice. Is that?
I ain't no big city lawyer, but
Yeah.
let me just tell you something.
You're Carrie Nation.
I don't think that you boys should be drinking any more of this here whiskey, so I'm gonna F it up.
With my little hatchet here.
And everyone's like, this giant woman is going to kill us all. So I can't believe that she just keeps entering the bar.
But I always think people, you go, God, she believes God told her to do it. I'd be like, yeah, you can arrest me as much as you like. God told me to do this and we're just going to keep doing it. That's what you would do, surely.
Yeah.
God's never told me to do shit.
He's the highest court in the land.
Yeah. So she finally collapsed during a speech on the 9th of June, 1911 and died. Died doing what she loved, telling people to stop drinking, and was buried in an unmarked grave in Belton, Missouri. The Women's Christian Temperance Union later erected a tombstone with her epitaph reading, "Faithful to the cause of prohibition, she hath done what she could."
Smashing.
She's done what she could.
Yeah. Not enough, to be honest.
Yeah,
But-
could have been more.
Yeah.
But obviously her capacity for hard work was about that.
You had a go. You had a bit of a good go. Good on you.
Yeah. So, yeah.
But I just love the idea of her walking into a bar and the barman recognising about Carrie, no,
Please,
no,
Carrie, please. Stop,
Please.
stop, Carrie, no. Oh, not the top shelf stuff. That's really expensive.
All of us, you can see booze hounds being like, this is why we don't allow women in here. See, this is what they'll get up to.
They'll do smashing.
They'll bring their smashes in
They'll
and
bring
you know
their
what,
famous hatchets.
The regulars just grabbing bottles off the shelf and trying to just skull them and neck them as quickly as they can before Carrie smashes it out of their hand.
I haven't had my daily half pint.
Carrie, I'm dehydrated.
Carrie, please.
You'd be in there negotiating. You'd be like, "I'll just drink this, and then smash it, and we'll say it all went down the drain."
Please, Carrie, just another sip. I was enjoying this. That's a new beer. I just ordered that.
I just paid for that, Carrie. Please.
It's just how I like it. Flat. A flat beer. Flat and disgusting.
But without E. coli.
Yeah, true.
What a wild character.
Yeah.
Carrie
So you can see
Carrie
why
Nation.
quite a few people are like, you got to talk about her. This is how wild the story is. That's just a little footnote in it, really. Taking up the baton after this and into the 20th century was the Anti-Saloon League, ASL. Never knew that's what it stood for. According to Britannia...
So back on the early internet when you were chatting with people, you said ASL. You meant Anti-Saloon
And
League.
you just wrote back, yes.
Yeah, yes, definitely.
100%.
Let's smash some stuff tomorrow. Yeah.
According to Britannica, even, called it Britannia, and I apologise for
We were
that.
just going to roll with it.
Yeah, well, I thought you were just going to be quoting from Royal Britannia.
Yeah, they rule the waves. According to Royal Britannia, the Anti-Saloon League was the leading organization lobbying for prohibition in the US in the early 20th century. It was founded as a state society in God's country, Ohio in 1893, but its influence spread rapidly, and only 2 years later it became a national organization. It drew most of its support from Protestant evangelical churches, and it lobbied at all levels of government for legislation to prohibit the manufacture and sale of intoxicating beverages. So they were basically doing very similar stuff to the WCTU, but I think there were men involved as well.
Okay.
So
Man can do anything. I think that's important.
That's one of the big takeaways from the
I
story.
think so, yeah.
They can do everything.
Also,
and
I think
anything.
a lot of this stuff, I wonder how much of it really boiled down to, like, it's just something to do, isn't it? You know?
Right, yeah.
You just... we could lobby Washington. Oh, we get to go on a little trip. That's cool. That's fun.
I think that's the case with so much stuff.
Yeah.
Some of it's such worthy causes, and some of it's just like, oh, you've got a hole here, don't you? And you want to fill it, and you can do that in many different ways.
That's so true, isn't it?
And you've cut out alcohol, so what else you got?
Yeah. Walking around, I guess.
Yeah,
And random bursts of violence.
kneeling,
kneeling, singing.
I guess.
Yeah.
Rorabaugh writes, led by the brilliant Washington lobbyist Wayne Wheeler, which is a fantastic name, I've got to say.
That's incredible.
And Wayne Wheeler by name, Wayne Wheeling and Dealing by nature, because he was so good at diplomacy in Washington. He just made things happen. He was a fixer. He was a guy who could get things done.
I wouldn't normally get on my phone during one of these, but I'm going to look up Wayne Wheeler. I'm going to see if he's got like in the one photo or one illustration of him, like what does he look like?
Have you seen Wayne Wheeler before, Matt?
I think I've seen a bunch of men in this story, and they all can't. I mean,
he looks like
as I've been researching, and they all look vaguely similar.
Okay, look, he's sort of a. He's just an old timey man. He looks like maybe an FDR or something like that.
Yes.
But there is one
he comes up later.
There is one kind of sassy photo of him where he's got his arms crossed. And he's got a little smirk to him, like I know something you don't know.
And he's got what I would call a small mustache.
Yeah,
like just. He's put a number 1 or number 2 over the top of it.
Yeah. It's like a kind of a. Like a coffee stain mustache.
Yeah, it looks like who's that classic comedian who just drew it on with Texter? He looks like that guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure it wasn't with Texter, but Groucho Marx.
To me, he just looks like anyone who died on the Titanic.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Well, yeah, I think, this is that period, and that's why they all kind of look like this guy.
He is wearing, unless the fidelity of this photo is not high enough, but he's wearing the pince nez. He's wearing the glasses you pinch to your nose.
Oh yeah,
the Morpheus style.
Whoa.
They've got no arms on them.
No ears needed.
No ears needed. That's right.
Well, I think that was they don't talk about
a
it as
fashion
much.
plate. This bloke.
He is also he wanted to ban alcohol and arms on glasses.
Yeah, that's right.
That was 2 big things.
We don't need them.
The demon arms, he called them.
Yeah, that's right.
Rorabaugh continues, the ASL elected legislators and members of Congress loyal to its agenda. So he's helping put people in positions of power and also going, if we'll get you in, we'll get you the votes if you agree to be hardcore dry.
Yeah, right.
The group pushed local options where it could not win statewide prohibition. They talk about this a bit, the local options. That's just like I say, making the town have no saloons within a radius of the school, or just going, just taking them out one by one. And they had these different ways of going about it. They try and encircle the big cities with dry areas, almost like, they're trapping them in there, and then it'll be easier for them to, it's like you picture them in a war room, with the big map.
Oh, they're circling we'll come in from the north.
Yeah.
And then we'll flank them on the west.
Like, was it World War II they did that to Paris? World War I, you'd know. Doesn't matter.
It's been done to Paris for sure. This thing you've said, they've done it. Someone's done it.
You block them in.
Yeah.
What do you call that?
Double parking.
Double parking. 2 drinks at once.
Yeah, that's right.
You sort of surround them and then sort of have a siege situation going on.
Yeah. So the only way to get a drink is you have to thread the needle. You have to get it. You can buy one at the pub and then you have to run down specific alleyways.
I don't remember Paris being sieged. I remember the French giving up.
Oh, you're thinking of the other war. I'm thinking of the First World War.
Oh, okay. Or St. Petersburg, the big siege there.
Yeah, maybe I'm thinking of one of them.
But that is interesting.
You buy it at the bar, and then you can only walk a certain way down the bar.
Yeah.
And if you're like, I'm going to go to the loo, well, we're going to smash your drink.
Yeah.
I do think it's funny, the strategy to have it they'll surround the city with dry areas. I'd be like, well, I'll just never leave the city then. Why was I going there anyway?
Yeah. You're like, I was going to go visit, we were going to go to the country for $1.
Yeah, but
probably not going to now.
We'll just do it the bar underneath my apartment.
Rorabaugh says, once liquor dealers were eliminated from large areas of a statewide ban was easier to enact. And yeah, he had this thought that the great wet cities such as New York, Chicago, the Windy City, the Wetty City.
The great wet cities.
The great wet cities.
Sorry, New York, Chicago, where else?
And San Francisco.
Atlantis, one of the wettest cities there is.
He called it encirclement, but it was basically like the siege. He was like, we'll get him. Peer group pressure. Everyone, look, we're all dry out here. We're having a great time.
Yeah, New York's like, you think we give a shit about you out there?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. They are kneeling and singing and they are smashing. That's fun.
In these otherwise empty bars.
You'd be, if you were in the movement, though, you'd be like, boy, I do love smashing with rocks, but man, it'd be great to be liquored up while I'm smashing. God, it feels so good.
My heart's not really in it.
It also makes me much more likely to sing out loud.
Yeah.
Off key at people.
It's funny. It made me more likely to do all the things that the dries are doing. Are we sure they're not drinking? But yeah, all of this was moving towards their goal of the nationwide prohibition
Dry America
enacted in the Constitution. Maybe an 18th Amendment. Throwing out numbers, I don't know. On the other wetter side of the fence was the broader alcohol industry, and they were up for the fight. Broadly speaking, they'll split up in so there were the spirits arm. The whiskey arm was mainly Irish and Scottish immigrants. You had the wine industry, like I said before, pretty much limited to California, and then the beer industry, which was mostly German immigrants. And apart from the wettest areas, politicians didn't really want to be seen taking money directly from the alcohol industry. This was especially true for the distillers, as they had been disgraced by a scandal in the 1870s, which in brief, a big group of whiskey distillers conspired to defraud the federal government of taxes. So their name was mud. They were basically their taxes on whiskey and spirits was getting higher and higher. So apparently they literally took them to the woods and just started doing them off the books.
This is the Irish and the Scottish. And they didn't want to pay taxes, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And it was true for like the rum makers and others. Pirates. Yeah.
They wouldn't want to pay taxes either.
Yeah, that's true.
On their assorted booties and so forth.
They're declaring that treasure they found?
I doubt it.
Or buried?
I doubt it.
So, because the distillers, their name was mud. It was up to the brewers.
God, imagine you're a pirate and you go to the X and you dig up the treasure and then you're like, oh, I've got to fill this in on my pay-as-you-go file, whatever,
I think I've gone through the tax-free threshold here.
Fridays are admin days for pirates.
That's right.
Always has been.
Yar.
So, yeah, the brewers were the ones who, and they probably had the most to lose because they controlled the saloons. And, but even more so than the distillers and stuff. They were the bigger business in the booze world. The Germans, apparently they'd set up all these, it wasn't just like seedy, saloons. They also had beer gardens were really popular in New York, these German beer gardens, which were more family affairs.
What is this, Melbourne? What is this, a Melbourne laneway? A beer garden? My goodness.
Yeah, German rooftop bars. So Rorabaugh writes, between 1880 and 1900s, the number of saloons doubled to 300,000 and the per capita consumption of beer also doubled. So it's going up again. I mean, whiskey and stuff all dropped as people are going sober, but beer's really taking off.
Well, that wouldn't even count back in the day, I would think,
Yeah.
Beer doesn't count.
That's right.
It's just keeps me alive, keeps me alive and awake.
But after 1900, beer consumption continued to grow. Declining to defend distilled liquor, brewers promoted beer as a moderate, low-alcohol, healthful drink.
There it is. It fills you up your vigours.
Yeah. Not like, but they're sort of, they've been split up. Unfortunately, from the distillers and stuff, which weakened the whole wet movement.
Yeah,
because they're going, we kind of see what you mean about whiskey, but our stuff is good for you.
You don't mean us, do you? Surely not.
We're cool.
You put our product on your cornflakes, don't you? Cornflakes and beer.
Yeah, we're a breakfast food.
Yeah.
So they're just letting them pick them off one by one, which is just making it easier for the drawers.
Right, would have been better if they'd stuck brothers in arms and said,
we've learnt this multiple times over the years on this show. Never split the party.
Yeah, so true. Very true.
The the distillers didn't like this, so they're like, "Wait, what do you mean? You're sort of throwing us under the bus."
Distiller's also a band name.
Oh, it is.
And the Temperance Union.
That's right, Tim Rogers' band. Yeah. And he's pretty famously a boozy man, or at least used to be.
Used to be, yeah.
That's right. Do you think alcohol's played a role in rock and roll over the years?
I wouldn't think so.
No, I wouldn't have thought so. Probably ironic names.
I would, yeah.
Temperance Union, I guess, was definitely.
That's right.
But yeah, they were pretty annoyed, the distillers. The New York State Wholesale Liquor Dealers Association complained in the New York Times in 1916, saying,
Not a great acronym, probably.
the Nice World.
Yeah.
Nice World.
Nice World.
Nice World.
It'd be a nice world if we all drank whiskey all the time.
It'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Back in the day, remember when we all drank whiskey all the time at 7 pints a day or whatever?
That was a nice world.
That was a nice world.
Take me back. Anyway, Nice World were having a whinge in the paper saying, "We deem it particularly deplorable that a few brewers are attempting to obtain legislative advantages for beers at the expense of other alcoholic beverages." And Rorabaugh continues, "Distillers refuse to assist the brewers in the campaign to stop prohibition." Oh, it's weird. We were telling everyone that they suck, and now they're not even helping us. What the heck?
It only proves that they suck.
Yeah.
In a way.
And then, later on, they both realise, we probably should have stuck together. We've cooked this, actually. Dang it. The brewers were still pretty powerful because they had the German-American Alliance on their side. This alliance was established by one Kaiser Wilhelm II in 1900, promoting links between Americans and Germans. The alliance had 2 million members in 1914.
Wow.
When a quarter of Americans had German heritage. Now, I didn't realise that there was a point in time when America was, had such strong German heritage. Why would I have known that, I guess? It's
true. Yeah.
And it probably goes without saying, but the alliance was very anti-prohibition. And this does come up a bit that maybe part of the motivation for the Protestants, the very Anglo group, was maybe a bit of xenophobia as well. The Irish, they're drinking all this whiskey. The Germans, all their beer. We got to get rid of it. Mm-hmm. And to be a real American, be like us, sober.
Yeah, we're going to come up with a truly American alternative, like alcoholic hot dogs or something. You can have it at a ball game. That's America.
Yeah,
the first bite and it just squirts in your mouth. Oh yeah, hell yeah!
So I'm afraid hot dogs are straight from Germany as well. What else you got? What else you got? Hamburgers? But yeah, the alliance was used as a way to funnel money to wet politicians. The wet politicians didn't want to be getting it direct from booze, so they're getting it through the alliance via beer, Unfortunately, though, a big world war was coming up fast, and Germany, if you don't know, was on the opposing side of it to America.
Oh,
Interesting.
I think they're going to be friends forever.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Unfortunately not. As Rorabaugh writes, when World War I began in 1914, the German-American Alliance backed Germany. Feels like if you're the German-American Alliance, you can't back Germany or America. Although I should say America wasn't in the war at the time. So that's how they would have done it. But unfortunately, I can't remember. No, I remember about to say it, so I'll just say it when I get to it.
Franz Ferdinand, also a band.
That's right. Oh, my God.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The Kaiser Chiefs.
Kaiser Chiefs.
My God.
Yes.
So they've backed Germany, and then within a couple of years, 1916, no political candidate could be seen taking money either from brewers with all the German ancestry or from the alliance at all. So they kind of stuffed themselves a bit by associating themselves with their own country, which had gone to war.
We totally backed Germany, and then a couple of years later, it's like, oh crap, we can't do that anymore.
Yes.
We should have done the hot dog thing.
And things turned on Germans in America even before America joined the war, as Miller and Brown write. Although America didn't enter the fray until the 6th of April 1917, anti-German sentiments began boiling following the death of 128 Americans in May of 1915 during the sinking of the RMS Lusitania by the German submarine U-20. Newspapers in New York and other cities published the names and addresses of German Americans, labeling them as enemy aliens. and the Red Cross barred German Americans from volunteering for fear of sabotage. Mob violence ensued in the Midwestern states, home to many German lager breweries. So that, like, newspapers are literally publishing just because they've got German backgrounds. They're going, get them. This is where they are if you want to get them.
That's crazy.
Wild. Yeah, these guys are bad. Not us who are telling you to. Wild.
Also, just to get the newspaper that day, and there's no stories, it's just like the German version of the phone book. You're sort of flicking through page after page of names and addresses going, wonder what's happening in the world.
Yeah. But the guys at the newspaper were like, oh, easiest day.
Yeah,
easiest
so
day.
good.
Easiest work day of my life. Put it on the photocopier.
Hold the presses. We found that in a bunch of old episodes as well, that in these times they go, Doris Longitude lost her dog today. Who lives at this address?
Yeah.
Like every story, they just put the address in.
Name the person and where they're from.
They're running stories about Doris Longitude losing her dog.
You'd think Doris Longitude would know where everything was, you know?
So, anti-German and with it anti-beer sentiment ran high. Irish immigrants were also seen as second-class citizens, like I was saying, and the fact they drank whiskey meant drinking whiskey was un-American. As Miller and Brown write, the Anti-Saloon League implemented pressure politics to stir citizens up to try to a patriotic frenzy. A true American nation had to be a dry nation, and things were all coming to a head.
This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether it's your first ever website or your business is expanding, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website and engage with your audience.
Yeah, they make it really easy to connect your socials and your multimedia accounts to your website in just a few clicks as icons, direct links, or embedded feeds. Sellers can also sync their product catalog directly with Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Google to reach more customers and reduce the steps for a purchase. Make it nice and easy.
I'm just going to come out and say it. I love Squarespace.
Yeah.
I've been holding that in for a little bit, and it feels good to get off my chest. I love Squarespace.
I'm glad you went first because I'm going to back you up right now.
You love
I agree.
Squarespace? Oh, my God, Jess?
Guys, I've always loved
Okay.
Squarespace.
Hey, did you know Squarespace has now introduced design intelligence? What does this mean? Well, let me put it into terms that even I can understand. Basically, it's the culmination of 2 decades of industry-leading design expertise with cutting-edge AI technology to unlock your strongest creative potential.
That's basically what it is.
That's basically, just to put it into terms that we can all understand, design intelligence empowers anyone to build a beautiful, more personalized website tailored to their unique needs and craft a bespoke, and this is what we're talking about, the three of us, most bespoke types in town, digital identity, a bespoke digital identity to use across one's entire online presence.
Yeah, but let's not just talk about the online presence. Let's talk cold hard cash. Okay. And Squarespace Payments is the easiest way to manage your payments in one place.
Can I quickly just insert a sound effect there? Cha-ching.
Yes. It's very fast and easy to set up. You can get started in just a few clicks and start receiving payments straight away.
We love it. And listen up if you want to have a little saving your way too, because head to squarespace.com/do-go-on. That's squarespace.com/do-go-on for a free trial and to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
Holiday magic is in the air, and DSW's got all the shoes to make your season extra merry. Believe, you've got parties to attend and lists to check twice, so DSW is taking care of the details, like gifts to make their eyes all aglow, styles that bring joy to your world, brands everyone wants, like UGG, Nike, Birkenstock, and more, and deals to make your budget bright. Find the perfect shoes for you and yours at a DSW store near you or dsw.com.
According to Rorabaugh, Wets lost the 1916 election and the Anti-Saloon League's Wayne Wheeler pounced. Once the US declared war on Germany in 1917 in April, Congress imposed temporary wartime prohibition to prevent food shortages and passed the 18th Amendment. And also there was another part of this as well. They're very similar, but two slightly separate things, I think. There was an act conceived by Wayne Wheeler and championed by Andrew Volstead, who was the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. And I don't know if you've heard of this. That's why this act is called, referred to as the Volstead Act.
Oh,
that's because of this guy, Andrew Volstead. But anyway, so the 18th Amendment goes through. It's pretty brief, so I'll read it in three parts.
Must be good to have your name named after, like an act named after you. Yeah. That's why you do it as well.
Yeah.
You jump on whatever it was to be like, yeah, I'll agree to that. Can I put my name on that? Yeah.
We're going to put my name on that?
That's right.
Yeah. I want to be associated ever with being a party killer.
That's right. Let's make skateboard tricks legal. That's a MASO act.
The MASO act. And then it turns into like
every time somebody's doing an ollie or whatever, they'd be like, this is down to the MASO act, you know?
And it becomes an antonym of dog act. Man, what a MASO act. That was sick. Yeah. Man, absolute MASO act from you.
Pure MASO.
Yeah.
I reckon we could get that going just now.
I think so.
Hashtag Moist Boys, hashtag MASO act.
There we go.
Can I ask about changing the constitution over there? Is that is that a hard thing to do? Like here we have to have a national referendum and everyone has to vote yes or no.
Yeah, it needs to go through I don't.
You don't have to say exactly, but is it a big deal or is it
a big deal? You need
the politicians vote for it or do the people have to say yes?
So it has to happen in Washington.
Yeah.
That's happened in the bloody Big Top, doesn't it? The bloody clowns.
And then I think 3/4 of the states have to then ratify it.
Okay. That makes sense.
So, yeah,
so it does have to go through a bit of it. It's not just one dude being like, yeah, I reckon.
It has to be. Yeah, exactly.
I can't believe we gave all this power to one amendment guy. Which just does whatever he wants.
That is it's similar at least vaguely to Australian referendums, which we need more than 50% nationally and then more than 50% of the states.
Yep.
So it can't just be the popular vote.
But it doesn't go back to the people to vote.
I don't think so. But also this is going to be infuriating people if I'm wrong.
Sorry.
Why'd you do that?
I thought that you would have come across it. Sorry.
But it's good for engagement.
We can just cut the whole thing if you
No, don't cut it.
If you'd rather not.
I want people to tweet at me.
Yeah, that's right.
We're
These go up on
recording
YouTube as well. These go up on YouTube.
Yeah, go up on YouTube.
Well, then put it in the YouTube comments. Put yes or no in the comments. Do whatever the question was. That's great. That's great for engagement metrics.
If you can hashtag it Moist Boys.
Hashtag Moist Boys, yes or no.
Yes or no. Hashtag MASO
act.
Yeah. I'm just wondering if they all get a little, they have to vote and it just says dry, yes or no.
Yeah.
Do you want to be dry? Yeah?
Mostly I want to be dry, yeah.
But
a lot of people would be confused. They'd be like, "Yeah, mostly. I don't like getting caught in the rain. Yeah. I hate that. I would love dry actually. Yeah,
yeah. I think I don't like water on my face.
So dry, yeah.
So like a dry face,
but I don't like a dry shave because you can cut yourself.
Yeah.
So maybe wet
shave.
Yeah.
There should be a few stipulations.
Yeah, that's true.
Dry on the street, wet in the shave.
Yeah, that's right.
Wet in the sheets.
Yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah.
Hashtag Moist Boy.
Folks, Matt's doing his big time research.
I feel bad. I'm sorry I brought it up, Matt.
An amendment may be proposed by a 2/3 vote of both houses of Congress, or if 2/3 of the states request one, by a convention called for that purpose. The amendment must then be ratified by 3/4 of the state legislatures, or 3/4 of conventions called in each state for ratification. So it seems like it doesn't go to
But who goes to the conventions?
I guess it's like...
Probably nerds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nerds, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
See you there. So, here's how the 18th Amendment reads. It's got 3 sections. Section 1. After 1 year from the ratification of the article, the manufacture, sale, or transportation of intoxicating liquors within, the importation thereof into, or the exportation thereof from the US.
Nice, covering all the bases. That's good.
And all territory subject to the jurisdiction thereof for beverage purposes is hereby prohibited. So, alcohol is still legal for cleaning and other things, but not for beverage.
But also, they've got a window to get rid of it.
So you got 1 year. That must have been the drunkest year on record, right? People going wild.
Yeah. So, I think so, and probably a little bit, but people definitely stocked up if they had the means.
Yeah, that's right.
Like stock your cellar.
Yeah, because it was not illegal to have it and to drink it in private property, but you couldn't buy it.
Yeah, right.
Or couldn't.
So if you just found some, it was fine to have it.
Yes.
Yeah, right. Nice. It's like a samurai sword. You just have it. I found it in the woods, so it's legal for me to have it, actually.
They call it the samurai sword loophole, don't they?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So they use the term intoxicating liquors, and this was defined to be any substance that contained over 0.5% alcohol, which I believe is around what orange juice has.
Oh,
I think I don't think they could even test it to be
right.
more
Can't ban
accurate.
OJ.
Yeah. So if
I bloody ban AJ though, depending on how his edit goes.
Yeah, which we'll never know because I don't think any of us will ever listen to it. So, oh man, I'm really leaving it in your hands, AJ. But if anyone's hearing this bit, let me know that he is not doing a good job.
If you can put it in the YouTube comments, yes or no.
Section 2, the Congress and several states shall have concurrent power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. So they're saying it's not going to be all us. We're states and federally. We're both going to be in charge of making this happen. And the third section said this article shall be inoperative unless it shall have been ratified as amendment to the Constitution by the legislatures of the several states as provided in the Constitution within 7 years from the date of the submission herefore to the states by the Congress. I think it was the president or one of the key players at the time who didn't really want prohibition, agreed to this if that was put in, because he was like, we're not going to get 3/4 of the states agreeing to this. So that was his way of saying, kind of like the Brexit guy said, yeah, they'll never vote. We'll put it up to a vote, but they're never going to vote for Brexit.
Yeah, that'd be crazy. Crazy to do that.
But then they did do that. The guy, remember the Prime Minister with the pig? Anyway, English people will remember what I'm talking about. And like I was saying before,
Prime
I
Minister
agreed.
Kermit the Frog.
Me and Meso both voted for Brexit and non-Brexit.
That's exactly right. They just let me come in.
Yeah.
So I know the guy.
David Cameron. Is that the one?
I was avoiding
the
that
big
for
guy.
libel stuff.
Oh.
Because he f***ed a pig.
Oh.
Allegedly.
Yeah.
Actually, I think that might. AJ, you're a lawyer. Bleep.
But it's
Or
fine.
like
We
delete.
just, it's the samurai sword loophole. We just found that information. So
Yes.
it's fine. We didn't say it. We did.
So yeah, they had 7 years to win the support of the states, and
Well, that'll never happen.
a lot of people are like that'll never happen. It
That'll never
happened in a bit over a year.
Oh.
So they needed at least 36 of the 48 states at the time. And I think that's why they were saying the several states, because at the time there was still like more states popping up, you know?
Right.
So they wouldn't say the 48 states. And then within a year, like, man.
Man, if we found a couple more states real quick, we can probably get them to vote the way we want. So
Yeah, and drop below,
just add a few, yeah.
Drop below 3/4. You just bring it up to 100 states.
That's right.
Like my house is a state.
Yeah.
Batham's a new state. They said no.
And they got way over 36 of the 48. They actually got 46 states approved.
Really? So
Oh,
what are the, we got
that's
the
what
two
the-
cool
yeah,
states.
the
There's
two
two
cool-
cool
yeah,
states.
yeah,
left.
the
Two cool
jocks.
states. And if you're from either of the cool states, yes or no in the comments.
That's right.
Connecticut and Rhode Island.
I knew it.
Oh, yeah,
They always had
okay.
a cool vibe.
Are they near each other, or is that...
Yeah, I think they're both tucked up in that sort of northeastern
Feels
area.
like Vermont. Those fancy
yeah.
states.
Oh,
and
man.
they'd be like, well, we got a lot of money. Let us drink.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I'm a big fan of Vermont.
But I think it seems like in a lot of ways, if you had a lot of money, you played by your own rules anyway.
Absolutely, yeah.
Though President Woodrow Wilson, man, whatever his name, I think I can hear the wind blow.
Yeah, but in the government, they'd be like, WW? Is it Wayne Wheeler or is it Woodrow Wilson? Who's the top dog?
Yeah.
Who's the number
wow.
one WW, you know?
Yeah.
It's probably Woodrow Wilson because he's the
Well, I
president.
think that's how they decided it, WWE. That was the first WWE.
Woodrow Wilson's coming in with a steel chair. Damn.
Uh-oh. Wayne Wheeler's got some smashes and a hatchet. So, yeah, Woodrow Wilson tended to be neither publicly wet or dry, which it seems like a lot of the presidents at the time were kind of like that. He did
I'm whatever you guys are.
yeah.
Are you drunk? I'm drunk. I'm sober, man.
Yeah,
stone
I was just
cold.
trying to be cool in front of those nerds, but I'm actually really like you, a nerd. Wait, yeah, he vetoed the act though. So he said, "I don't want prohibition." According to WoodrowWilson.org. This was due to his desire to protect the rights of citizens from improper legislation. Despite this, Wilson's largely technical civil liberties argument was of no matter to the House of Representatives, who overrode his veto just 2 hours after receiving
Oh,
it.
that's going to hurt. I'm the most powerful man in the country. Shut up. Okay.
Okay. According to Brown and Miller, Wilson appealed to Congress to pass the 19th Amendment guaranteeing women's suffrage in 1915. Then in 1918, he's the president at the time. He's like, please. Because he's like, I'm losing popularity a bit from all sorts of things. Things aren't going,
But what if I let chicks vote?
Yeah, but if chicks vote, this could help. And then as the clock ticked closer toward the March 1920 presidential election, he called Congress to a special session on the 20th.
A special sesh.
A special sesh.
Nice.
Yeah, compression, special sesh. Wind the windows up.
You know it's serious when he's doing a special sesh.
Yeah. On the 21st of May 1919, and the amendment was finally passed, but according to Brown and Miller, it was too late to save his career. For the following presidential election, the Democratic Party instead opted for the ticket of Governor James M. Cox and Assistant Secretary of the Navy Franklin D. Roosevelt.
I've heard of that guy.
Yes, but probably not Cox.
No.
Because he lost in a landslide to new Republican President Warren G. Harding. The G apparently stands for Gamaliel.
Gamaliel.
Wow.
Wow, okay.
Beautiful name.
Wow.
Easy to say. Beautiful name.
That's right.
Anyway, back to Prohibition. But yeah, so Woodrow Wilson he was on the outs, but he got women to vote. Well, I don't think it was all women. I think it was was it rich white women or?
And also, he didn't do it out of the goodness of his heart or a means to achieve equality. It's just like, well, it's another voter pool for me.
Yeah,
I
they
guess.
might vote for me.
Might vote for me, actually, if I do it, actually.
The 19th Amendment in part says, the right of citizens of the US to vote shall not be denied or abridged by the United States or by any state on account of sex. Congress shall have the power to enforce this article by appropriate legislation. Not by sex, but I'm guessing still by race and stuff. I don't know. But this episode isn't about that.
That's right. That could be a whole different thing.
We didn't even ask that time. You asked yourself that time.
Just in the comments say yes or no.
We could wade into that another time.
Yes.
Just really, we're not qualified, but we'll do it.
We'll Wade versus Roe into it.
Oh.
That's almost something. I don't understand, but I think it was the smartest thing anyone ever heard you say.
If you think that was the smartest thing anyone's ever said, yes or no in the comments.
Sorry. And if I was barking up the wrong bush, yes or no in the comments. Okay, so Harding, the new presidente. He was a drinker, big drinker.
Cool president.
Yeah.
But he was pretty pragmatic. He voted against prohibition at one point before eventually voting for it when it was politically beneficial to him. But this didn't stop him from having a drink from then on because, like I said, possession and consumption was still legal on private property. While you weren't allowed to purchase booze during Prohibition, wealthy Americans stocked up on booze before the law came into place.
Wow.
And
You're trying to get a lifetime supply going.
Yeah. Harding brought a huge private collection with him to the White House. So it didn't really affect him or anyone who was rich who wanted a drink. And many of them are like, yeah, I agree. The working people shouldn't drink.
Yeah, they shouldn't drink. Have you seen them drunk? They're awful.
They're awful.
Me, I'm good.
I'm a fun drunk.
My collar's clean and I've built a still in my house.
And yeah, this whole idea of the wealthy, kind of like one rule for us, another rule for you. Yeah.
It's the only example, I think, in history.
I think it is. Yeah. I think it is.
It's a real aberration.
So should we let it go just this one time?
I think we should let it go. Yeah.
Just this once.
I think they probably learned their lesson.
Yeah.
The rich.
Well, that's how we got to the point now where everyone is equal.
That's so
in
true,
all
isn't
ways.
it? Yeah.
As Rorabaugh writes, the class bias of Prohibition was extraordinary. The Yale Club legally served pre-war alcohol to its members, but working class speakeasies were raided. The New York World newspaper said at the time, it makes for hypocrisy and class hatred. Lewis Swift, the wealthy Chicago meatpacker, told a journalist that Prohibition was good for the working class. As he was saying that, he was holding a cocktail.
There it is. There we go.
And I'll drink to that. Cheers. What a smartass.
Now, as a journalist, are you, what class are you? You could share a drink with me unless you're working class, in which case you cannot.
I'll have to escort you from my
I knew the bloody Yale Club would be involved somehow. Yale and Harvard and all those toffs. Have a drink on your kayak or whatever. It's fine. Yeah. Cool. actually.
Actually, yeah, really sick.
Yeah.
That sounds fun.
If you're a Yale alum, yes or no in the comments.
That's right. You ever have a drink on a jet ski? I bet you would.
Hashtag moist boys. There's no moister place than on the back of a wet jet ski.
That's right. A wet ski.
I call it a wet ski. I call it a wet ski.
Hashtag wet ski.
Thank you. The class bias also was mixed in with other bigotry. According to Rorabaugh, small town dries cared only about the drinking of Catholic and Jewish immigrants and African Americans who were either working class or poor. Wets were accordingly un-American, and the Methodist Board of Temperance stated, quote, if they do not like, I don't know if this rings any bells, if they do not like the way things are being done, let them go back to Europe.
Oh.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But they're saying there's...
I've never read similar phrasings on stickers on the back of vehicles.
But what they're saying is they only care about making Jewish and these other groups not drink. Are they happy to drink them? The Catholics, they're not happy to drink themselves. They don't care.
Well, I think it seems like there's a little bit of hypocrisy going on. Like, we don't think they should drink. We're drinking it. But some of them were like full dedicated dries who believed, religiously that it's immoral to drink. It leads to all sorts of bad things.
Right.
Like being less efficient at my factory.
That's right.
So yeah, obviously the US is a big country, and Prohibition was welcomed in many different ways. A lot of people were happy, others were not. In the great big wet cities,
that's right.
They found it very different to the small towns. They're like, finally, some sense going on at the bloody clowns up there on Capitol Hill.
Mm-hmm.
But I like the picture Rorabaugh paints of that beautiful big wet city, New York.
God, it's so wet.
He also calls them just the great cities.
Yeah.
These are great cities.
One of the great cities.
How great are these cities?
I had a holiday there once. He's like, I had a great time with my wife.
my wife. So this is the picture he paints. January 16, 1920. The last day that Americans could legally buy a drink. In the great cities, revelers treated the evening like New Year's Eve. Saloons, cafes, cabarets, dance halls, hotel bars, and gourmet restaurants hung festive decorations, served special food, and played music, while patrons ate, drank, and danced. All evening, celebrants downed glass after glass of their favourite and soon-to-be forbidden alcoholic beverages. No city turned out in greater force than did New York, which was often considered the wettest city on the continent.
New York, baby.
As midnight approached, the band played, the patrons raised their glasses, ironically, to toast the beginning of dry America. When the clock struck 12, drinkers downed their last drop of legal liquor, accompanied by cheers, jeers, whistles, and noisemakers. Then celebrants looked at their empty glasses and called for another. In most places, waiters obliged.
That's their first and my last legal drink, and now my first illegal drink.
Let us pause for the ceremonial looking around and seeing if the cops are there. And, they're not. All right, another drink.
But they are also here drunk.
Honestly, I think in certain cities that's what it was like. They were being paid off with cash and booze.
Mate, I'll buy you a drink if I'm allowed to have another drink.
The drinks are right here. So
was it back then? Like the Irish New York cops was like a big standard thing, right? And the Irish apparently weren't pro-prohibition, but New York City in general wasn't. But I like how he says this. How long did prohibition last in New York? About 2 minutes, or however long it took to obtain a new glass. Bit of fun. It was banned, booze, but it really did not go away. As Rorabaugh explains, whenever a substance is banned, two things happen. First, the prices go up, and second, the product returns in a more concentrated form, or a replacement appears. And I think that's how concentrated cordial came about.
That's true, yeah. You used to be able to drink cordial straight out of the bottle. It was so weak, and now
the great cordial ban.
I wouldn't dare. You'd die.
He lists a few examples.
The Cotties Act. It's abandoned for good.
As well as Cotties, which I'm sure he mentioned in the book. I can't remember exactly the page. But he also talks about when opium was banned under the Harrison Act of 1914, that yielded heroin. Then the war against cocaine in the 1970s, that produced crack. And the prohibition of alcohol caused a shift from beer to hard liquor, and also the substitution of opiates.
You know that song that goes, "My dad picks the fruit that goes to Cottius to make the cordial best. That was actually a deposition in court. It was a witness statement.
And there was a jingle writer at the back going,
"Oh, this is good.
I think there's something in this."
Yeah.
And is the man you're talking about in this room right now?
He's over there.
So yeah, the logic is that if you're handling something illegal, you want to make sure you're getting bang for buck.
Yeah.
So
this became double alcohol.
Yeah, you're like, I need, if I'm transporting it around, I need it more condensed.
Yeah.
So if I'm going to get caught, you know, it's worth the risk.
Yeah, I mean, you see that, you know, even now when, you know, when it's last drinks at the pub, somebody will be like, "Oh, there's 3 of us here, can we get 12 beers?"
Yeah.
12, just last drinks. So we get 12, we'll knock them off real quick.
Yeah.
Or it's like, "Can you give me a quadruple whiskey? Just the one. Just the last one, it's fine."
I'm only having one drink tonight.
That's right.
Can I have a jug of straight whiskey? Just the one. Just the one. Hastily made spirits made much more financial sense to criminals than beer. And the spirits obviously weren't aging for 12 years like they normally would with a whiskey. They were banging them out as quickly as possible. Basically, like they were making what would turn into a whiskey eventually.
So that 12-minute-old whiskey.
Yeah, that's right.
I think technically you might not be allowed to call it whiskey on the label.
Yeah. It'll be illegal to call this whiskey. Well, it'll be illegal to call it anything, actually.
This Johnny Walker's was matured for the length of a deep breath.
More like a Johnny Crawler. Is that
Yep.
Rorabaugh continues, in many parts of the country, the illegal production of beer was problematic. The beverage spoiled quickly, it was too bulky to hide, and hijacking of delivery trucks was common. Distilled spirit, there's a lot of photos you can see photos of trucks being done. There's one, it's pretty fun. I think they only got done because they had a flat tire. And the cops there and they're like, fuck. Just like absolutely stacked with booze.
Like, if only we could bribe these guys with something that we had on us.
Yeah, like, we'll make you a deal. You can have some of this. We're taking all of it.
Yeah.
And you're done anyway, mate.
Yeah.
So, distilled spirits were cheaper to produce, storage was easier, and the higher price per gallon for spirits helped compensate for the higher risk of handling the illegal substance. Beer existed during Prohibition, especially in New York, Chicago, and a few of the other great cities. But the standard drink was distilled spirits. Prohibition brought back the very liquor that the original temperance movement had despised. That's the main one of, well, this has backfired on you, hasn't it?
Yeah, whoops. We were back to really hard liquor and it's no longer regulated, so you could probably lose your vision as well.
And you're not making any tax money for the...
that's right. The government's not getting their pound of flesh either anymore.
Guys, with the benefit of hindsight, we have seen some flaws in this temperance movement. They're very embarrassing for those folks, I tell you what.
Yeah, anyway, let's go buy some legal drugs.
Hell yeah.
Oh, hang on.
Oh.
Maybe there's a lesson in this for us. David, you were in America and you're saying legal drugs are a lot more common over there as well, right?
Yeah, it's in many states, marijuana is now a legal thing you actually buy from shops.
And you did probably.
Yeah, but
you about 420 every day, am I right?
It's 420 somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know if you get it, but it's pretty actually funny.
I don't get it.
In the comments, yes or no. So, it did not take long for illegal operations to spring up. One example Rorabaugh gives is future Pulitzer Prize. When you're talking about the Harvard boys.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know Bernard DeVoto? Might be
No, I love the name.
Mm-hmm.
He was a non-fiction writer. I know you're a fiction man. But he won...
I hate the truth.
He ended up winning a Pulitzer Prize. And he was like the go-to guy for the Harvard faculty, driving liquor from Montreal through the back streets of Vermont and getting it to the Harvard campus.
Oh, you see, he was on the truck.
Yeah.
Okay.
Just
Some
back
real
streets.
Hunter S. Thompson gonzo journalism there. Wow.
Oh, yeah.
He's like the king of spring break.
Yeah.
That's right.
Surf's
Van
up,
Wilder.
team. Yeah.
Another example.
We make a rom-com. It's called Hopelessly Devoto to You.
Oh.
And he finds love on the back of that truck.
But then in about 2/3 of the way through the movie, something that would have been fixed with a single sentence of communication ends up breaking them apart before they realise their mistake and get back together at the end.
Nice.
And can he be played by Danny DeVoto?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I'd love to see Danny DeVoto.
Danny DeVoto. Oh, no, you wouldn't have to because it'd be like, I'm 21. Because back then,
exactly.
You know what people looked like.
People looked really old back then.
I think he...
I'm going to Harvard.
Don't need a de-age because he pre-aged.
Yeah.
I think he's been about the same age for 4 years. Like this example, in 1920, a pilot landed a cargo of 18 cases of Canadian liquor at an airstrip near Des Moines, Iowa, and the pilot sold each case for $250, which is heaps of money. About 6 times the pre-prohibition price, and he sold out in 2 hours and flew away before the police were even aware that he was there. Not a bad deal. I imagine you'd just be doing that back and forth.
Do it all day.
And you keep the engine running if you see the cops.
That's right.
And I think they were able to buy it for so much because they were going to on-sell it.
Even more.
But what they would do is dilute it with dodgy stuff, moonshine and whatnot.
Sure.
What is moonshine, maybe you're asking? Maybe not.
My whole life.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Finally.
According
That's what all this has been about. Finally, us learning the definition of moonshine. Here we go. Let's lean in.
We
for
could have
this.
looked it up, but we waited for it to come to us.
Naturally.
So this is the writing of Senate Pay Raker for Britannica. He said, I love these other names. Moonshine's great, but what about Rotgut, White Lightning, White Dog, or Corn Liquor? The last one probably needs work.
I like White Dog.
Rotgut.
Hey, can I just get a couple of litres of Rotgut?
I'm worried about some of this moonshine blinding me, but I'm confident Rotgut. I reckon that's probably good for me. Raker writes, moonshine is a term typically used to refer to illicitly distilled liquor. The word is derived from the notion of the liquor being made and distributed at night under the cover of darkness. Makers of moonshine are called moonshiners. I wonder how they got to that.
Rotgutters.
Moonshine most commonly denotes clear. White doggers. I guess the lightning white is because whiskey is normally quite brown because it's been aged and it takes on the colours of the barrel and stuff. But this is clear because it just isn't aged at all.
Someone just had a bath in it.
It's just clear, made in copper or whatever, and it's basically the base spirit that becomes other spirits. But without any sort of regulations or checks being made on it and heaps of corners being cut. So it would be gross anyway, but it's worse than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Because it was called corn liquor because of all the corners being cut.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
That's right. It was initially corn cutter.
Oh, yeah.
But they're like, but it's also liquor. Maybe we can work that in as well. And they did do that.
Nice.
And also the guy who made it used to lick a lot of corn.
Chris Corn Liquor.
Raker also talks about how moonshiners weren't necessarily fussed with quality control or the safety of their drinkers, writing, distillers cut corners to speed up the fermentation and distillation processes, which led to a drop in the quality of the moonshine that sometimes did considerable harm to drinkers. Shoddy distillation processes, for example, can leave methanol in the liquor, and consumption of methanol can cause blindness or death. Sometimes both, which I think all death causes blindness, which was a risk for drinkers during the Prohibition era. It was a scary time. You must really want to drink where you're like, ooh, you're playing Russian roulette with every...
For something you've paid 20 times the price for and it tastes awful.
Tastes awful.
And it could, kill you.
Yeah. Mary...
Mix it up with some Ribena.
Straight.
God, I need a drink.
Yeah, mixers. I'll talk about it soon. But mixers did become very popular.
That's right.
Mary Wozniak, dubbed Moonshine Mary, was convicted in the 1920s in Illinois for selling alcohol that killed a man. Moonshine was often made in car radiators, which could cause lead to leach into the liquor when it passed through drinkers' bodies, again potentially resulting in blindness or death.
Lead leaching into the liquor. Wouldn't want to say that if you're dying of alcohol poisoning, would you? Say that 3 times fast.
You're at the hospital. What are you here for? Lead leaching from the liquor.
I think he wants us to put leeches on him. Let's do that.
We're about to anyway, so that works out well.
In a car radiator, are these cars still operating?
Yeah, I think that, they were also delivering it at the time.
It's warm.
Yeah.
Here it is.
Hot toddies, everyone. Straight out of the exhaust pipe. Here we go.
Cool. They're just serving up cooling.
Just cooling.
Contaminators and microorganisms in moonshine cause health issues as well. Unsurprisingly, it also usually tasted pretty bad. One way this was overcome was adding something called Jamaican ginger extract, which was sold at the time as a medicine and contained a high level of ethanol.
Add more booze. All right, great.
Like 70 or 80%.
Yeah, great.
And like none of this is regulated as well. So people are saying, oh, put Jake, it could be anything.
You're making me blind over here.
In slang, it was known as Jake. According to Rorabaugh, said his name a few different ways. Much of what was sold as Jake was poisonous. It might kill or it could cripple the victim, causing what was called Jake leg. I like how they just had a fun name for it.
Yeah, that's right.
So a lot of people ended up with limps and stuff because of Jake.
Oh, my God.
But it also killed a lot of people as well. In 1930 alone, 50,000 poor people in Kansas City, Oklahoma City, and Cincinnati were paralyzed. 50,000 in those three cities.
Can I just
in
say,
1 year.
This is a controversial take. It's not worth it.
No.
Alcohol is not that good. No. It's not that good.
Well, no.
It's not food or...
But also, this alcohol is much worse than...
Yeah, it's terrible. Like, but being drunk, it's not that good.
No.
It's not worth
Maybe
that.
just get up early and look at a sunrise. You know? That's cool too, I reckon. That's just as good.
Like, I don't think they should have banned it, but also, if they did, I would not be tempted a fraction by any of this shit.
No.
I'd be like, oh, well.
Okay, but bearing in mind, there was nothing else to do then. Like, you've got internet, you know?
It's true.
Yeah,
and also, this booze is elongating your life. So, I mean, I'm drinking it, risking shortening my life, but I'm also guaranteeing lengthening it. If you know what I mean?
So true, actually, yeah.
So, at worst, it evens out.
Yeah, okay. No, yeah. That argument has won me over.
Sarah Crocker for Grunge writes that bootleggers' attempts to make their alcohol palatable were uneven at best. Unscrupulous producers reportedly added toxic ingredients to mimic genuine flavors. Some of this is real gross, so I'll give you a quick warning. Like rotten meat to make it taste like bourbon.
Sure, all right, great.
I like how they're like... They obviously are people who are real connoisseurs of bourbon. You know what? It tastes like rotten meat. Chuck some of this shit.
You're there in front of your fireplace in your leather chair and there's like bits of ground beef floating in your glass. You're like, oh. God,
Still got the fancy glasses.
Yeah.
I can't, I'm not a whiskey drinker or I don't drink any straight spirits. I don't sip that kind of thing. I know some people like that. But for me, they already taste pretty bad.
Okay, yeah.
So I can't imagine how bad the rotten meat version of bourbon tastes to sip.
Well, maybe to you it would be, you'd be like, yeah, it tastes a bit right.
This is good, actually, yeah.
Maybe the people doing it had your palate for it. It's like, yeah, that's about right.
That's disgusting. That's right.
Just a little bit more. A little bit more rotten meat. What do you think they would have used to get scotch?
Scottish people. Scotty dogs?
Close. Antiseptics.
Oh.
Yeah, creams, balms.
Oh, cream, sure, yeah.
Put a bit of cream in there.
An unguent.
Bit of creamery.
Yeah.
Especially unlucky speakeasy patrons might end up drinking embalming fluid. So I guess if you're about to die anyway, this is saving the embalmers a bit of time. To master the taste of less than ideal booze, many bartenders use mixes like juice or honey or Ribena, I suppose.
I love this. I love that. Can you just hold the booze?
Yeah. Can I just get a drink of honey juice? Unlucky drinkers still face serious consequences. I mean, I'd almost be like, don't mask the bad taste will let me know how.
Oh, right. How bad my internal organs are going,
Yeah. You want to know what you're in for.
I'm always at the bar going, can I get a UDL, but can you strain out all the alcohol? I just would like just a sort of Fantery drink, please.
Orange drink.
Crocker says, some might endure frightening hallucinations. Because these are some of the serious consequences. Others would become dangerously ill, and a significant number of Americans died from tainted drinks. So, yeah, it's like you say, it's hard to imagine people going out there but this is what an unregulated industry will do. They cut corners. I know Mason's all about, cut red tape.
Exactly,
but
that's
to
right.
this degree,
yeah.
And you still
agree, yeah, that's right. But also during this era, a lot of people would just be keeling over for no reason as well. So you'd just be like, was it the tainted booze that killed my mate over there, or did he just die because he was 36
and working in a lead mine?
Yeah, that's right.
He was a lead taste tester.
That's right. He was a lead liquor.
He was a lead liquor. According to Rorabaugh, another source of liquor throughout the 20s was industrial liquor.
Okay.
So solvents and so forth.
Yes, and this was made legally. It was distilled legally by special federal permit in large quantities. Alcohol was used in paint, in antifreeze, and as a solvent in many mechanical processes. Production rose from 28 million gallons in 1920 to 81 million gallons.
Yeah, we're going to lubricate so much stuff.
In 1925, jeez.
Everything's so insolvent at this factory. We need to solve it.
I need to paint my house again and again and again.
Now that no one's drinking, productivity has gone through the roof.
That's how they've stayed up to
So the dries are going, this is a good sign.
See? Told you, industry gone up.
It's working. When Chief Prohibition Enforcer Lincoln Andrews estimated that 90% of all bootleg liquor contained at least some denatured industrial alcohol, that was in 1925. So he's like, if you're drinking moonshine or any sort of dodgy liquor, it's probably got some sort of clean fluid in it, which is how like people now talk about Australian, party drugs and stuff. They're like, it's probably got some Drano in it and all sorts of stuff.
Yeah.
To prevent its use in beverages, though, so this is where the government stayed ahead of it. The government required the industry to add toxic chemicals to the alcohol.
No!
So it's already not good for you.
Yeah.
But they're like, they made the manufacturers, the producers make it even worse, basically deadly.
There's going to be a couple of rough weeks where people who are drinking are going to figure this out. But then after that, people are going to be fine.
We get over the hump.
Yeah, we get over that hump.
While most additives had a foul smell or taste, this was not always true. Some industrial processes required tasteless and odorless poisons. Bootleggers often cut...
Like making poison. Like if you wanted to poison your husband or whatever, you're going to buy one of those tasteless, odorless poisons, aren't you? Obviously. And there was a huge industry for that back in the day.
What a boom time for killing your husband.
Yeah.
I think he was into the moonshine.
If we'd invented divorce by now, I wouldn't have to do this. But you're rotten and I'm going to poison you.
Yeah. I don't have the vote and I don't have divorce, but I do have the poison. So the bootleggers often cut their own product by adding cheap industrial liquor. Alcohol, I should say. It wasn't liquor. It was alcohol.
Cleaning the floors with a bottle of Havana Club rum.
An illegal side industry developed in removing toxins. If they could be purged, then industrial alcohol might yield a big profit. There was also apparently they were allowed to add the toxins in after. So there was this sort of dodgy side industry where they would
someone would just walk out the door without having the toxins added
just
in.
Before they had they've gone missing.
But I really like the toxins. My favourite cocktails all have toxins in them. I kind of miss the toxins, if I'm honest.
Rorabaugh writes, unfortunately, the amateur chemists sometimes produce deadly results. As injuries and deaths grew, so did the public outcry. So slowly people were turning on prohibition. They're like, this isn't solving any of the problems you said it would. It's making a lot of things worse, actually. The public outcry grew, but both the government and dry forces wanted to punish drinkers for industrial alcohol. After several New Yorkers died and hundreds were sickened by bad liquor in late 1926, old mate Wayne Wheeler said, quote, the government is under no obligation to furnish the people with alcohol that is drinkable when the Constitution prohibits it. The person who drinks this alcohol is a deliberate suicide. So basically like, they knew what they were doing.
And he's like, and that's fine.
Yeah, basically.
And that's the tea.
And it didn't go, I mean, the Wets didn't love this, the vibe of old mate WW. The Wet Senator Edward Edwards, I didn't notice that before. They had all names available. This is a long time ago.
And they chose the best ones.
That's right.
Twice.
Johnson John Edward Edwards. What was his name?
Senator Edward Edwards and Johnson John. Edward Edwards, a New Jersey Democrat senator, denounced the ASL lobbyist for condoning murder, in his words. Wheeler's callousness fitted with the dry view that all alcohol was a poison anyway. In 1930, there were 625 deaths from bad alcohol in New York City. So people that, like you say, and I'm totally with you. I wouldn't be drinking it, but they know that people are, and they're just like, stuff them. That serves them right.
Yeah.
Which is, I mean, I think ever since there's been a different war on something where you see a similar kind of thing, people blame the people who are addicted to whatever. Meso's one that does.
But I blame everyone for everything.
Yeah, that's true.
If I can blame someone for something, I'll do it.
You love blaming.
Yeah, that's right.
You love apportioning
And I blame
blame.
you for that. You led me to that. I was normal, and then you were like, have you considered blaming everybody for everything? And I'm like, I will.
Yeah.
Thanks for nothing, Matt.
Well, honestly, I didn't think it through.
Yeah.
Because that was on
And
me.
that's on you and Dave. Because he's supposed to be the voice of reason here.
He is.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Dave.
God.
You're welcome.
You were in the very same city as us when I was having that quiet conversation with Meso, and you did nothing to stop it. That's a real non-Meso act.
I'm a coward.
Prohibition had so many unintended consequences, but perhaps the most surprising to me was that it helped create NASCAR racing.
Okay.
Oh, hell yeah.
I mean,
We're going to get a Frankie Muniz reference in here. He loves racing a little car or whatever.
Well, if it wasn't for Prohibition, we wouldn't have had Frankie.
Wow. He may not actually race NASCAR. It might be a different category of race cars.
The spirit's there.
The spirit is there.
In the
Yeah,
comments,
that's right.
yes or no?
Yeah.
For history.com, Christopher Klein writes, NASCAR Hall of Famer Junior Johnson first discovered...
Junior Johnson Jr.? That's his son.
Junior Johnson Sr. Junior Johnson Jr. Junior Johnson, JJ, first discovered his talent behind the wheel while running Moonshine as a teen, he said much later in 1990, he was quite an old man at that point.
Wow.
Moonshining was part of my growing up, but it was also part of my training in auto racing. Being in that business, you had to have a very fast car and you had to be able to outrun the revenuers or highway patrol or sheriff or whoever tried to pursue you.
And you had to be able to drive around and around and around in the circles really quickly.
At first, I had to get used to the fact that I wasn't picking up any big crates of stuff on the track. So I would slow down and they'd be like, keep going. You're not picking up booze.
Junior.
But yeah, pit stops, that was his specialty.
That's right.
Prohibition era drivers transporting moonshine from rural areas or also illegally importing booze from Canada had to change their vehicles to elude the
every
authorities.
other country was fine at this point. No other country cared about
Prohibition. I think others did, but yeah.
Canada was like, nah.
Certainly Montreal was for it. I think some areas of Canada might have been dry as well.
Right.
Mexico wasn't. Oh. So people were...
Viva la Mexico.
Yeah. Texas had a hard time keeping the tequila out. I read a New York Times article which talked about it, and it said tequila in brackets, a popular liquor in Mexico. I'm like, isn't that amazing? 100 years ago, Americans had to have tequila explained to them. But then I remember the 1990s ad campaign for tacos.
In Australia.
What's a tacos?
What's a tacos?
What's a tacos?
What the hell's a tacos?
I mean, there was like a...
Hey, you, what's a tacos?
What's a burrito? What's a burrito? Burrito? The Burrito Brothers? They were a hit band back in the 60s. Great ad. Great ad. But so funny to think that 30 years ago, the show's like, what the hell are you talking about? Anyway, back to Klein's writing here. They're figuring out how to drive fast down tough roads because they're running booze. Johnson later told the BBC, if it hadn't been for whiskey, NASCAR wouldn't have been formed. That's a fact. They also talk about how Ford was a big dry man, Henry Ford.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And so they thought it was a bit of fun that the
Kellogg's guy was against wanking.
I know, Dave.
No, unrelated, but I just,
It's just something that's important to...
Imagine if Henry Ford and the Kellogg's guy ran the world.
Be a little different, wouldn't it?
Yeah,
I think it'd go a little something. There's nothing drier than cornflakes, am I right?
No, thank you, and I won't today. That's the play.
Yeah.
Go like that.
So apparently the booze runners, these drivers, found the best cars were Ford's V8s.
Hell yeah.
So they were the ones nearly all of them used to run booze, which would have been a bit of fun, yeah. Eh? Yeah, you're dry, eh? Why are you making such great cars to drive booze around in there? Why are you hitting yourself, Henry? Why are you hitting yourself? As Klein continues, with relative ease, mechanics could soup up their Ford V8s to gain a few extra miles per hour of speed, which could make all the difference in car chases. To further elude revenue agents and the police, bootleggers tricked out their cars with features that seemed to be straight out of a spy movie or a Looney Tunes cartoon.
Oil slick. Nails.
Yes.
No.
They had
Whoa.
devices that with the press of a button could release smoke screens, oil slicks, and even bucket loads of tacks to puncture the tires of their pursuers.
Yeah, hell yeah.
That's the best.
Nice.
I'm like, oh, they're so creative at Looney Tunes. No, they're just ripping off real life.
Wow. Do they have a James Bond ejector seat?
Yes. Boing, like that.
If the guy in the passenger seat's like, I'm not so sure about this bootlegging anymore. Well, see you later.
And then an Acme
big weight falls on
An
him.
anvil
falls on his head, yeah. And he becomes an accordion. During the 1930s, moonshiners began to race their whiskey cars at local fairgrounds and racetracks, where they discovered that people, sometimes tens of thousands of them, were willing to pay to watch them showcase their driving skills.
Sometimes tens of thousands, sometimes 6 guys,
Yeah.
sometimes tens of thousands.
Last
You
week,
never
no
know.
one was here. Look, there's tens of thousands of people here. Where'd they come from? Ah.
Oil slick.
Oh, are they doing like Mario Kart style racing with little weapons, trying to take each other out?
Green shell. Do the green shell.
Toad was the first NASCAR champion. Not a lot of people know that. So long
Toad
story.
Earnhardt Jr.
Long story short, this all developed into NASCAR racing.
That's awesome.
Apparently, I think there was a bit of a split where the guy, like a lot of the people involved, continue to have
Side businesses.
So they still loved making moonshine and stuff, even after Prohibition. But there was a bit of a split decades and decades ago where the guy running it's started denying that background.
Oh, yeah. Clean it up for the families. Yeah.
But now they're sort of they're talking about it a little bit more.
Yeah,
You
right.
can read about it on their website a bit. And stuff.
Right. It's a bit of a cheeky thing now, not a dodgy thing.
Yes.
It was so long ago. Bit of fun.
Yeah, I think it adds to the myth of it all,
Yeah.
right? Like we were saying, Meso, a lot of other countries you could go to and drink.
Oh, hell yeah.
Like Mexico. Americans would go on boozy holidays south of the border. And then if they were heading somewhere like the UK via ship, the drinking could start straight away.
Oh, international waters.
Yeah, nice.
Going to Rorabaugh, passengers and crew drank while crossing the Atlantic. But then the Treasury Department declared that no ship that docked in the US could carry alcohol inside the 3-mile limit, which meant you can't carry it. If you're going to dock there, you can't have it at all. So
You have to put it on a little dinghy and leave it out in the ocean, and then somebody would come and steal your dinghy.
a little buoy.
Or is it a little challenge? It's like you have to drink it all by the time you get within 3
That's like
miles.
Mesa was saying, last drinks. So guys, last drinks were 5 miles from shore.
We cannot approach the United States if any alcohol is left on the ship.
We're circling the block. This is the
A few
concept.
laps,
Until everybody's
a few laps.
finished,
And
yeah.
that's how NASCAR was actually founded.
So there were diplomatic protests, and the State Department then allowed foreign ships to enter American waters with alcohol on board as long as it was all locked up. American ships, however, had to be bone dry, which I don't know if you guessed what this led to. Basically, the crushing of the American travel industry.
Oh, people
because
are-
everyone's like, well, I'm gonna travel with the English
company.
company.
That's way cooler.
Yeah. Imagine you're on an American ship in the harbour and you're like sitting there with your glass of water or whatever, and then a British ship goes the other way and everybody's just boozing and just woohoo, you know.
Yeah, they're mooning you.
Yeah, that's
Moonshining you.
yeah.
And actually like legitimate booze as well.
Yeah.
That would be.
Oh, yeah, the good stuff, the stuff that won't kill you. Yeah,
exactly.
It's true.
Well,
We're
not
all
unless you drink a lot
alive.
of it.
Yeah.
Hey, Jack lives here. Woo.
Oh, I'm still drinking. What's this? Yak.
Jack Daniels.
So the American the sales ships just really struggled for business, and they tried vainly to win people. No, we don't have booze, but we've got some games.
Wayne
We're bringing
Newton.
out some games. Yeah, we got Wayne's here.
Is that when they started doing stuff like putting roller coasters and,
Yeah,
and
probably.
water slides on because they needed something?
We've got Pitbull, Mr. Worldwide. He's going to perform on the ship.
Boats were also used to import booze illegally. As Rorabaugh explains, Canadian liquor often arrived at anchored ships just outside that 3-mile radius.
Oh, yeah.
And they were able to unload the boats in broad daylight, and the US Coast Guard wouldn't be able to do anything about it. They're just on the other side of an invisible line. And they know why they're unloading it, but they can't do anything about it until they cross that line. So then, under the cover of darkness, speedboats would then dart off delivering it to the shore. And as Rorabaugh writes, offloadings were completed in minutes and the speedboats reached shore long before the Coast Guard could do so. And this was not an accident. The bootleggers had used public records to find out where the Coast Guard vessels had been built. They had gone to these shipyards and studied the blueprints, and then they had commissioned the same shipyards to build boats that were faster.
Nice.
I want that bit
That's
better.
incredible.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. Why bother with the blueprints? Just go, you know that one you did for the Coast Guard? Can you give us a faster
Use
one?
that one, but paint it red.
Yeah.
And it'll be faster.
In 1925, the Prohibition Bureau estimated that only 5% of the liquor illegally entering the United States was stopped. So a lot was still getting through. And that was the
95%
safest
got
stuff to
through.
drink. Yeah.
Wow. I guess the people that manufactured cruise ships just switched to speedboats. Like they destroyed the cruise ship industry, but
Yeah.
the speed. Yeah,
We're rum runners now.
give it to speedboat guys. Yeah,
We're disruptors.
yeah, that's right.
Hey, isn't this celebrated here in America?
Yeah.
Rorabaugh continues. The most famous rum runner was Bill McCoy, who refused to cut liquor. And
From
he
his diet
honoured
and his exercise routine.
honoured business arrangements, and he never cheated. His quality goods were labelled the real McCoy, a brand of high reputation and premium at a premium price.
Hence the expression.
So that's one of the theories, but there are about 12 theories.
Oh,
Different McCoys, even McKays,
Okay.
and other names like
McCain, the real McCain's peas and corn.
IO. What was that slogan? IO McCain's. You've done it again.
Yes.
McCain.
McCain.
Io. What did that mean in your mind? Io McCain.
IO. I thought it was a pirate mascot.
Hey, McCain, you dog. You've done it again. I can't deny it. I'll kill you, you dog,
kill
but
you,
you've done
dog.
it again.
On special this week at Coles, Red Spot Special. And it wasn't just cars and boats that were used to transport booze. This story was brought to my attention by listener Tori McCleskey, who wrote...
That's a rum runner's name,
the
if
real
ever there was one.
McCleskey.
Yeah.
McCleskey, the real McCleskey writes, during American Prohibition, Texas Rangers were infuriated by a donkey someone had trained to continually find its way home to Texas after they loaded it with rum in Mexico. Without a human bootlegger present, they couldn't charge the donkey and the smuggling continued.
That is so true, isn't it?
It went on for ages.
That's what we call Air Bud rules.
Yeah.
There's no rule in here that says a donkey can't smuggle
foiled
booze.
again.
Can't arrest a donkey. That's
Can't
the
arrest
best.
the donkey.
It's like a homing pigeon, but a donkey.
Apparently,
Go
the
on.
Rangers dubbed the donkey the lone rum-running jackass of Starr County. Bit of a mouthful, but yeah. McCleskey suggested I do a whole topic on that, so I apologise that we've just very briefly gone on it, and I just read out your exact words, but I thought too much fun to leave out.
That's so fun.
But yeah, if we're going to talk about prohibition, and we are, and I think in some ways we have already.
We are going to get to it. We are going to get to it.
Yeah, that's a big lead up here, guys.
I think we got to talk about organised crime. Two things are synonymous. And did you know the first one really produced the second one? If it wasn't for prohibition, organised crime in America wouldn't have didn't really come about.
We wouldn't get award-winning TV show The Sopranos.
Exactly. It was very inorganised.
So it feels like it was probably worth it then.
Yeah, I think it's absolutely worth it. He's depressed. You got to see a therapist. That's amazing television, you know? That time they go to kill that Russian guy in the woods and they get cold. What an episode. Remember that one?
Yeah.
God, great.
And it was
worth it.
Left at a loose end.
Yeah, worth it for those 50,000 people that died in Kansas or whatever from poison booze. Worth it.
Worth it. I agree.
Yeah, me too. I agree with that thing that I said.
Yeah, I'll talk a little bit about it. Dave Roos writes this for History.com. The term organised crime didn't really exist in the United States before Prohibition. Criminal gangs had run amok in American cities since the late 19th century, but they were mostly bands of street thugs running small-time extortion and loan sharking rackets in predominantly ethnic Italian, Jewish, Irish and Polish neighbourhoods. In fact, before the passing of the 18th Amendment in 1919, it wasn't the mobsters who ran the most organised criminal schemes in America, but corrupt political bosses.
More like disorganized crime.
This is according to Howard Abedinsky, a criminal justice professor at St. John's University.
Johnson
University. who wrote a book called Organised Crime. But the underworld...
Oh, great title. How long did it take you to think that one up?
But what's it about?
What's it about, mate? Oh, it doesn't describe it. You dumbass. You dumbass.
Professor St. John.
Yeah.
I tell you what... Howard Abedinsky was really having a nice time listening to this episode until moments ago.
That's right. The first 2 hours were really nice.
Ruse continues. The underworld power dynamic shifted dramatically with the onset of Prohibition. With legitimate bars and breweries out of business, someone had to step in to fuel the substantial thirst of the Roaring Twenties. And no one was better equipped than the mobsters. The key to running a successful bootlegging operation, Abedinsky explains...
Pinstripe suit.
Number one.
Yep. One of those cars with the running board on the side and a guy could stand on the running board.
That's number two.
And he had a Tommy gun.
Number three.
Yeah, nice. Hell yeah.
But number four, Abedinsky says, paramilitary organization.
Ooh.
At first, the street gangs didn't know a thing about business, but they knew how to handle a gun, Tommy gun, and how to intimidate the competition.
Hey, I've got a Tommy gun.
Hey.
And I'll use it on you.
I'm not afraid to use it.
That's right.
I'm not, I swear to
you.
God, I'm not afraid.
That's right.
I'll do it right now.
Yeah.
Certainly not fear that's stopping me.
I don't feel like it. I just don't feel like it.
Otherwise, I would.
Yeah.
You'd be dead already.
Yeah.
So just think about that.
Big bullets.
Or I'm going now, but just remember what we talked about.
I had heaps of bullets. Heaps of them.
I've got heaps.
I could shoot you with it, and then I'd have more bullets later for another guy.
But
easily.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So just, keep that in mind.
Yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, good to see you.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah. Good to see you.
They could protect illegal breweries, this is the mobsters, and running operations from rival gangs, provide security for speakeasies, and pay off nosy cops or politicians to look the other way. It wasn't long before the mobsters were raking in absurd amounts of money, and it was bosses and cops who were taking the orders. Things had flipped. Suddenly, gang leaders are making deals with each other, says Abedinsky, forging mutual protection pacts across state and international borders and across ethnic lines to ensure that shipments of illegal alcohol poured freely into the big cities. These are very violent people who are used to solving problems by killing them, and they're not afraid to.
Killing their problems.
They're not afraid to do it.
Oh, no, my heater's broken. I'll kill it.
You're dead, heater. I've warned you once, Dakin. This is your last chance.
Yeah. I'm going to invert you from alive to dead.
But eventually they all sat down and said, we'll guarantee peace in your area if you guarantee peace in our area. Organised crime. In the absence of prohibition...
It's actually a beautiful thing.
It is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
In the absence of prohibition, he said, we wouldn't have had the kind of syndicated criminality that occurred. Prohibition was the catalyst. You're still with Ruse. In the 1920s, Charles Lucky Luciano. Did you talk about him in
Yes.
The Five Families?
He's one of the Luciano families founded by him, right?
Yeah, he brought together some of New York's biggest Italian and Jewish mobsters to dominate the city's bootlegging business. In Chicago, Johnny Torrio kept a fragile peace between his Italian-run bootlegging operation in the city's south side and the Irish and Polish gangs working in the north side, but it didn't last. By the time Torrio's protege Al Capone took over,
Alfonso Cappuccino.
That's right. He came from New York and really, very quickly started dominating Chicago.
He's like the main guy.
There ended up being an all-out turf war, and then in the infamous St. Valentine's Day massacre of 1929, Capone's men dressed as police officers, or some of them did, and they gunned down 7 of the rival gang's henchmen. I think a couple of them were just unluckily there at the time.
Right. Well, some dressed as police officers, some were dressed as a builder.
Yes.
Yeah.
The village
Native
people.
American. There we go.
It was the village people.
Construction guy, police guy.
The full title, St. Valentine's Day YMCA massacre was the full title. I'm not going to go into the mob and Capone any more than that because obviously this is already a huge episode. And
they were all there. Flat top, little face, mumbles, prune face.
Yes.
Dick Tracy. All those guys.
I remember all of them, not Dick Tracy. Yeah.
Jesus, yeah.
But yeah, love to do Al Capone one day. That feels like a block topic in itself.
Yeah, a lot of people suggested, I think, and it didn't quite win the vote, but I feel like rather than just doing a few paragraphs on Al Capone, we'll save him for his own.
That's awesome.
Own topic. And the Untouchables will probably be brought into that as well, which is linked into this, but we'll just save all of that on the side because...
if we didn't get the Untouchables, we wouldn't have got Waterworld.
That's true.
Whoa.
Yeah. It's all worth it. One of the biggest wets of all.
Oh my God.
They are so wet.
They are so wet.
They're always wet.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, this sucks. I'm too wet.
Yes. Yeah.
I wish there was a little bit of dry, honestly.
The alternative reality where the wet's won out.
It's actually too wet. That was the slogan for that movie. This is actually too wet.
Is this what you wanted? Huh?
We're sopping.
We're sopping.
I can't get dry. I've been dry in years.
During Prohibition, there was no shortage of places to drink, the safest of which was the home.
Is that the name of a bar?
Yeah. Everyone knew your name there. At home. That's because it's just your wife and kids.
Yeah. I'd be sad if they didn't know your name.
According to Rorabaugh, this led to the invention of the home cocktail party. He writes, hostesses issued written invitations and dress was often formal. Cocktails were modern and sophisticated, but obviously mixed often with disgusting drinks.
Oh, yeah.
Can I get an old-fashioned with a whiskey with some meat in it, please? Absolutely you can. That is the only option.
We got heaps of that.
Yeah.
It's rotting. Is that okay?
Because of
Oh, yeah, great.
The must, the taste of everything else.
We got the rotting horseflesh juice. It's fantastic.
Because of the mediocre bootleg spirits, they had to be cut with a mixer to be palatable, not enjoyable, palatable. The hostesses prepared cocktails in the kitchen and then passed them around the living room on a tray. Men drank martinis and Manhattans, while women took sweeter drinks such as gin fizzes and lime rickies. I don't know what a lime ricky is, but I freaking love the name. It's the only reason I put that sentence in there.
Let's get lime rickies after this.
Can we?
Let's go to a local Brunswick bar and be like, 3 lime rickies, please. And they'd be like, what?
What are you talking about?
You heard me.
You know what? We could find the right guy that would make his day, though.
Absolutely, yeah. 3 lime rickies.
Oh my God.
He'd clang a little bell and be like, lime rickies on deck. Let's go.
And a line building up behind us of just people going,
I just want to be
in Harlem, another kind of private event became popular. Rent parties. To gain entry, guests would pay a fee. They could then eat and drink and dance while the tenant earned enough to pay the rent.
Okay.
I think these were particularly big in the black communities. It was like one of the places where white people wouldn't be gained entrance because there was so much of a higher chance that they were narcs.
Yeah, that makes sense.
No, I'm a good one. I swear.
There were very, very few black agents in the Prohibition forces or whatever. And New York, during Prohibition, New York State voted that they were going to stop enforcing the laws. So only the federal people in New York did it, and there were only a couple hundred of them. So it was pretty much free reign.
It's pretty obvious who the narcs were when they came in.
Yeah.
Hey guys, we're here for the cool party. Let us in.
We playing some jazz tonight.
Oh, I love drinking.
Oh, you got Wayne Newton on the stereo.
I love Michael Bublé. Depending on where you were in the country, the supposedly underground drinking culture was quite overt. Rorabaugh continues.
Folks, Dave's taking his wedding ring off. I didn't want to say anything.
So he's getting ready for that lime ricky.
Yeah,
one low alcohol lime ricky.
Things are getting wild in here.
According to Rorabaugh, the New Yorker even published street prices for alcohol as well as recipes for mixed drinks. Fashionable stores sold serving trays, cocktail shakers, and tall highball glasses.
This tray is for putting your Bible on. Don't even worry about it.
Yeah. What are you going to use that for?
It's like what's that chain of stoner shops?
Oh, Off Your Tree.
Off Your Tree. It's just sells. It's all bongs.
Right.
Whereas
that's a plant holder. That's
it's a vase.
Yeah, that's to put your breakfast smoothie in. It's for your protein shakes. Yep, that's right.
But yeah, it seems like there were loopholes everywhere. For the Smithsonian, Megan Gambino writes, during Prohibition, Gambino, is that a big name?
Is that a crime?
I think that's a crime name. That's a crime name.
Oh, well, Gambino writes.
And maybe a type of pizza as well, I think.
Yeah. Well, this one's a historian, and she writes, during Prohibition, the U.S. Treasury Department authorized physicians to write prescriptions for medicinal alcohol. This is quite similar to marijuana in Australia at the moment.
Yeah. I have anxiety. I need an old-fashioned, thank you.
Yeah. Well, that's literally, they get prescriptions for whiskey and beer. Licensed doctors with pads of government-issued prescription forms advise their patients to take regular doses of hooch to stave off a number of ailments, cancer, indigestion, and depression amongst them. Mm-hmm. Presumably, doctors were doing examinations and diagnoses, but it was mostly bogus, says Daniel Ockrent, probably, author of Last Call, The Rise and Fall of Prohibition. This is one of the Bibles of Prohibition. Every 10 days, patients willing to pay about $3 for a prescription, another $3 or $4 to have it filled, could get a pint of booze. There may have been some people who were being prescribed because there was a perceived medical need, but it was really a way for some physicians and pharmacists to make a few extra bucks, he says. Rorabaugh continues, these prescriptions turned drugstores into liquor stores. In 1916, Charles Walgreen, this is a big chain.
Walgreens, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Well, he owned 9 pharmacies before Prohibition, but by the end of the 20s, he operated 525. So Prohibition really kicked off Walgreens.
I wonder if that's on the
chain.
Walgreens website.
Legal alcohol profits enabled him to expand the empire quickly. Gambino writes, the National Prohibition Act, which enforced the ban, also allowed farmers to produce wine for their own consumption and priests, ministers, and rabbis to serve it during religious ceremonies. So as Rorabaugh writes, if you knew a rabbi or Catholic priest, real or fake, you might have someone who might provide wine in return for a contribution. You know, we'll make a little donation to the church. You give us some a bottle of Plonk. The homemade wine loophole is pretty fun as well, as Rorabaugh continues. A head of household could legally ferment up to 200 gallons of fruit juice a year, 200 gallons a family, for family use. Grape juice.
It's for my family.
Yeah.
It's just for my family.
This is for my kids.
I got some thirsty kids. They love their juice.
So all you needed was grape juice, sugar, and yeast. And California producers would ship grapes to make wine, but they also dried grapes and pressed them into bricks and sold them to make reconstituted grape juice. So that's right. You could buy grape bricks. And they became very popular. Rorabaugh writes,
God, imagine taking a big bite out of a grape brick. I'd love that. Just the biggest sultana you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Nom, 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 nom.
Just with a knife and fork.
Yes. Like
Grape steaks.
a meatloaf that's a grape.
Oh, you'll have a grape sandwich.
Mm-hmm.
So they came with instructions to add water to make juice, but warned that sugar and yeast would create an alcoholic beverage.
Yeah,
Brick
nice.
sales soared.
Don't do this.
We're telling you this so you know what not to do.
And definitely don't leave it for this many days and check on it this many times a week.
Yep. And store it in a cellar at this temperature.
Because if you accidentally do that, you might accidentally create alcohol.
We don't want that.
At about 13%.
Yeah.
The wet editor Arthur Brisbane promoted the bricks in print, writing, quote, the grape growers are not held responsible for the laws of nature, which seem to have no sympathy for prohibition, and turn innocent grape juice into wine.
Exactly. It's just nature. It's natural.
It's natural.
Natural.
Are you anti-nature?
No.
No.
I'm pro-nature.
I'm pro-nature, actually.
Yeah.
We haven't talked about the Ku Klux Klan yet.
Okay.
God, we're required to every time the boys get together. We gotta talk about that.
Why don't we dress like this?
That's exactly right.
Smart casual. The Ku Klux Klan were apparently concerned about lax enforcement of prohibition.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yeah. The dries of the dry, the KKK. As Rorabaugh writes, the Klan invaded Carroll County to impose its own peculiar form of law and order. One Ku Kluxer explained that an excellent way to obtain liquor was to seize it by marauding with the Klan.
Hey guys, you want to do a marauder?
I'm thirsty. Let's go. Yeah. Let's go maraud. In many parts of the US, the Klan attacked distilleries or wet shipments. If local officials cannot enforce the law, vowed one Klan leader and Methodist minister in Denver, Colorado. Love that that's the same person. We should teach them how. The Indiana Klan's magazine, The Fiery Cross, promised, the Klan is going to drive bootlegging out of this land.
But also, if you could subscribe to our magazine, that would be terrific.
Sold in all good news agencies.
That's right.
Or bodegas.
Oh, yeah.
Is that one of those?
Or What's New?
In Williamson.
To be clear, I don't think What's New sells the Ku Klux Klan magazine. I just want to be clear about that.
They just sell those vases.
They do, yeah.
It's
just a vase shop.
Yeah, we got a few vase shop chains here, don't we? Weird. In Williamson County, Illinois, the Federal Prohibition Bureau agent in charge deputized hundreds of Klansmen from neighboring counties to assist in a series of simultaneous raids. The resulting deadly mayhem led higher-ups in the Prohibition Bureau to replace the head agent. Weird, he lost his job over that, recruiting heaps of Klan members to go on a rampage officially for prohibition.
That is wild.
I wouldn't have been surprised if that paragraph ended in promotion.
Thankfully, they did step in.
I think there should be heaps of Klan members, but like not in that way. Should be in a big heap.
Open grave.
Yeah, in a way.
I hate to tell you this, mate, but 50% of our audience are Clan members. That one is not true. I don't think. That actually isn't tracked by Acast.
But people keep emailing it in. They're like, as a Clan member, keep it up,
as
boys.
a Clan member.
Yeah.
Yes or no in the comments. It's going to start to get confusing what you're answering now.
No.
President Harding died of a heart attack in 1923, and VP Calvin
Probably had
Coolidge.
enough booze.
Yeah,
Hadn't had enough booze. I've had a lot of booze, which is why I'm like this.
Yeah, we had well, you wouldn't know, listeners, but we had about a 3-hour break, and we've all had a lot of lime Ricky.
Oh my God. I've had a little too much Ricky.
I've had a gallon of Ricky.
We are not getting scurvy, fellas. I'll tell you that much.
I told mine to hold the lime. I'll just get a jug of Ricky, please.
A big jug of Richard, please.
Yeah, I'm not on nickname basis. It's just a jug of Richard, please. Jug of Dick. President Harding died of a heart attack in 1923, and VP Calvin Coolidge took over.
Cool Cal.
The following year, he ran for re-election. Or first time for election, but you know what I mean? Because
he's acting president.
Yeah.
On the promise to improve prohibition enforcement. So he was like, yeah, I'm doing them. I don't think he was, maybe his heart wasn't really in it. It didn't seem like any of the presidents were necessarily.
Right.
Because they were just like, whatever you want me to say.
You want me
do
to
everything.
You want to hear
as
this?
far as I'm concerned, yeah.
Because it's like, prohibition, you still sort of like prohibition, but you're just like, oh, you're not really enacting it well. Well, I'll enforce it better. Enacting is wrong.
I guess if we're going to do it, we may as well do it properly.
And he won in part because the Democratic Party was bitterly divided between wets and dries. They
split their own party again.
They split their own party. They had a dry guy and a wet guy, and they couldn't figure out.
Oh my God!
Which way
together,
to go.
They could have been a bunch of moist boys, which is the perfect position to be in. But they couldn't make that compromise. They were too proud.
If I spoke of that Democratic thing, I would have said something like, shouldn't we go with the side the Klan isn't on?
Yeah, that's right.
You know, it's a bit of a rule of thumb.
Some of us like the Klan, though.
Oh, shit. I didn't want to know that about my party.
The party split again.
A lot of us are in the Klan, actually, TBH.
Yeah, because Democrats were the pro-slavery
there was a big switcheroo at some point. I'm not sure when.
Lincoln was Republican. He was the anti-slave guy.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I'm a bit of an expert on history.
Specifically American history, as we're finding out on this episode. We all know our stuff.
Oh, yeah. But yeah, he got back in landslide, but I don't think it really improved all that much. Coolidge didn't end up seeking another term. Instead, another president I've heard of, Herbert Hoover, ran.
Oh, yeah.
For the Republicans. He won in a landslide. Hoover was apparently pretty neutral on prohibition, but it was part of his party's platform. So he put out a statement, which is often sort of used in reference to prohibition. He called it a great social and economic experiment, noble in motive and far-reaching in purpose. So people sometimes call it the noble experiment, stuff like that you hear. I guess pejoratively, maybe.
Right,
being
is he
used.
kind of being like...
I'd call it the no balls experiment.
I'm pretty sure there's a bar in Melbourne called the Noble Experiment.
Yeah, there might be, yeah. Mm-hmm.
And I guess that's what it's a reference to.
Was he kind of trying to wrap it up there, being like, guys, this was a good idea. Your heart was in the right place. It hasn't really worked out, so let's just get rid of it. Good on you.
Yes.
Good on you.
He's just checking the breeze.
I don't know if you noticed this, but millions of people are still drinking and they're laughing at you.
Yes. And we're not making any income from the tax.
Yeah.
They're still spending more. It's more expensive, but we're not getting a cut of it. It's worse and people are dying. Look, I think in every single possible way, the taste is worse. Name me a positive.
I've been thinking out loud here, and I think maybe we should change the name to the Stupid Experiment for stupids.
Yeah, the rest of the quote is, and I was being sarcastic. ... Nah.
It's opposite day in Congress. Ha ha ha.
So during his term, public opposition to prohibition grew, and more people seemed to flout the laws. I've mentioned speakeasies.
I love flouting the law, I tell you what.
Flouting the law.
Yeah, that's right. Flouting the law, flouting the law, you know.
That's good.
That's okay, you won't know this, but we just had another 3-hour break. We went out flouting the law. And so if we sound a bit tuckered out, we've had a big flout. So yeah, I've mentioned speakeasies. Let me explain them to you a little bit. But generally speaking, unlicensed bars.
Nice.
After Prohibition, legal restaurants and bars tried to keep trading with non-alcoholic beverages, but they soon went out of business.
It was too early for boost juices. People didn't know you could make a mint out of that.
You were coming here for the vibe, right? This room's really nice to hang out in.
Yeah, we got women praying over here. So by 1924, in New York City, only 20% of pre-war licensed saloons remained.
Oh, that sucks.
And all their customers migrated over to speakeasies. Speakeasies actually go back quite a few decades before Prohibition. I mean, I'm sure unlicensed bars go way back, but the term speakeasies apparently. According to Miller and Brown, from 1874, a few state governments adopted a new tactic to reduce alcohol consumption, raising the price of liquor selling licenses. Intended to reduce the number of bars, the 1888 Brooks High License Act raised the saloon licensing fee in Pennsylvania from $50 to $500. But instead, it gave the world a new term, speakeasy. As an Ohio newspaper reported, in Pittsburgh, they call a place where liquor is sold without a license a speakeasy. It is likely the trend began in McKeesport, just outside of Pittsburgh, where illegal saloon operator Kate Hester was known to hush raucous patrons by whispering, "Speak easy, boys, speak easy." Soon it was popularized in Philadelphia, and the notion spread from there that drinking in an unlicensed establishment implied the habitué had to speak easy or softly to escape the notice of police. Basically, just keep it down.
I would have called them the shut up cafes. Hey, shut up. Shut up.
This is a cafe. All right? You're supposed to have had a fucking latte.
New York's The World wrote in 1895, "The speakeasy has always been the result whenever prohibition has been attempted. If we had no intolerant crusade, we would have no speakeasies." That was 5 years before it came in through America. They probably ran an article 30 years later saying, "Told ya," or called it.
Yeah.
Headline called it. Body. Told ya.
And here are some addresses to some German people.
No, different paper. I feel like they were a very wet paper. Basically paper mache. In the process of being made. Obviously not at the end where it is dry. Of speakeasies, Crocker writes, "The first step in the Prohibition era speakeasy experiences was naturally enough finding a speakeasy. But simply knowing that one existed nearby wasn't enough. Essentially, you had to show that you were safe and not a snitch or police officer hoping to close down the joint. Speakeasies didn't operate in a uniform way, but according to Rorabaugh, to be discreet, a typical speakeasy lacked any sign, and the large, thick and plain wood door often contained either a peephole for the bouncer to see out of or a small opening where the potential customer could be screened." I think they were called Judas holes, I think. Just check if it's a trader out there.
All right, you a Judas? Yes. Well, you're not coming in.
I like how Rorabaugh.
Are you a policeman trying to shut us down?
You have to say if you are.
You have to say if you are. That's the number one rule. This sort of, if you were the police trying to shut anything down, you would look for the plain wood door with the peephole through it, wouldn't you? I mean,
why does that door have a peephole?
We're doing religion in here. Oh, that's fine.
You can't come in. We're praying really loudly.
Some are members.
We're in the clan. We're doing a clan meeting. Oh, that's fine.
That's fine.
The clan also have sort of like the little Judas hole at the front, don't they?
That's true.
Of the hoods. Is that what? You gonna tell anyone what I'm up to in here? Because it's pretty shameful.
What happens in this hood? It's my business.
But I'm also the minister of the church, so don't tell anyone that though. Not in print. In our own published paper. You'd either have a password, or you'd be a member. They just know who you were.
You just try password, I reckon. Is it password? It is. Okay.
Local police officers were usually welcome. Their visibility tended to preserve
order. Is it booze 1 2 3 4 5? It is booze 1 2 3 4 5. You can't come in.
You can't come in. Well done.
Cops are allowed in.
Cops are allowed in.
Okay, this seems
in
weird.
Uniform. One New York speakeasy owner during the period was quoted as saying, "The first day we opened up, the police came right in to be stood drinks. And I've had these 4 cops on my side in this business from that day on."
Right. So if the cops aren't shutting them down, who would shut them down then? The federal agents.
Yes. Like I was saying before, at some point in New York, and every state was different. Some of it, like everyone was anti and everyone's snitching. But in New York, there's not that many there to keep it under control. I think there's like less than a couple of hundred agents.
Yeah, sure.
To find a speakeasy, usually you would have to have the inside word, but others would subtly let you know as well. For instance, according to the Mob Museum, they would paint their doors green as a signal to prospective clients.
Okay. Just don't tell the agents. Don't tell the agents.
According to Crocker, 2 Chicago speakeasies became known for this, namely the Green Door Tavern and the Green Mill Cocktail Lounge. Even smaller joints like the Green Door in Fortescue, New Jersey, also went by the name. Some speakeasies became quite well known, such as New York City's Stork Club. It opened in 1929, and though it was raided once and shut down, it moved location and ended up surviving longer than Prohibition itself, continuing to be a place to be seen with clientele such as previous Dugon topic Joan Crawford.
Oh, and now it's a boost juice, so that's good. I reckon if I was the feds, I'd just set up a green door that goes directly to a prison cell.
Oh,
that'd get 'em, wouldn't it?
Come on in.
Yeah. What's the password? I don't know. That is the password. Come on in.
Do you think there's a chance that they chose green because the federal agents were all colorblind and couldn't see that?
They could see. It's just a wall. The wall continues
there's a
there.
wall there. Yep. Well,
if I understand colorblindness, this is the perfect crime. Or they were just fixing it in post to make it, green screening on the doors. No. We're just they project on bricks to
like
it.
A wall.
Crocker also mentions the 21 Club, which I have to think is what inspired Shane Warne's 23 Club. Club 21, Club 23. It can't be a coincidence.
It can't be.
It's two better than that one. You know that famous club in New York? This one's two better. The 21 Club, which was a notorious spot for those who could afford it, with the owners making a splash on New Year's Eve in 1929 with a tuxedo-clad affair, awash in champagne and demolition equipment. According to thrillers...
That sounds dangerous. Did they put like thousands of gallons of champagne behind a wall and they just smashed it with hammers and then it just...
Yeah.
This is a champagne flooded
Let
affair.
it flow.
But apparently boozed up guests were then encouraged to take apart the old venue and join the owners in the newer, nicer digs. So they reopened that night. So everyone in their tuxedos smashed up their one bar and they went to their second venue.
That's amazing.
So talking about opulence and opulence perhaps when you have too many apps on your phone.
That's so opulent.
But is this opulence or is this people who... the tradies haven't rocked up, so they said, "On your way through,
it sounds like have a swim."
Very expensive bar.
It sounds like free labour, doesn't it?
Doesn't it?
God, wouldn't it be so opulent if you helped me put the lights up?
Yeah,
widen in some of the electrical
but
stuff.
It's like, I feel like a working type. Look at me.
Ooh, God, this is opulent.
I'm rugged.
A class tourists. But yeah, they were all promised and delivered the best possible alcohol available. They weren't getting any dodgy moonshine there. The operation at Club 21 was very slick. According to Last Call, the bartender, if they got a warning from the doorman, was able to push a button that would immediately dump all of the bar's liquor down a bottle smashing shaft. Grates allowed the alcohol to drain away before the police found the shattered remnants in the basement level.
Wow.
Which obviously would be like last resort, but better than...
I was hoping that you were going to say that they had something at the bottom that caught it and then pumped it back up and then they started filling.
I'm picturing Barney Gumble at the bottom.
Yes, it is
with his mouth open.
It is super...
Beer Baron.
Do you remember Beer Baron Rex Banner? And they make Mo's a pet shop and they push the button.
You wouldn't want to bump that button on your first day there, would you?
No. Oh, what does this one do?
Yeah.
Another famous speak. I like how cool people call them speaks.
That's cool.
Speak easy too long. Yeah. Another famous speak. Wait, softly or loud? What do you want? What kind of speak? You know what I mean? The Cotton Club. This one I'd heard of.
I've heard of this one, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was a glamorous cabaret-style performance venue that drew white partiers to Harlem, which featured legendary black performers like Duke Ellington. There was Britannica notes. Only whites were allowed in the audience.
Oh.
So there were... I'm about to tell you that things were a bit more progressive because of Prohibition, but the expensive ones were still super segregated, racist-y places. You can come work... You could be behind the bar, you can be on the stage, but you can't be sitting at one of these tables.
You could be underneath having bottles smash on top of you.
That's fine.
Yeah, it's fine.
We'll allow that. We've had a chat. We'll allow that. But yeah, some of it was a lot more progressive at the time. Which I guess, remembering that the Klan is still huge by the sounds of it at the time. So it's a very different America because I think they've fixed all of that now. I think it's...
Yeah, it's fixed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Same as Australia.
Yeah.
Everyone is exactly equal. But anyway, some of the slightly more positive stuff. According to the Mob Museum, a beautiful resource. It wasn't entirely unheard of for patrons of various skin colors and ethnic backgrounds to mingle in a speakeasy, listening to jazz music pioneered by black musicians, which was like before Prohibition. Bars were men only and probably white only or black only. Mm-hmm. So this was for the time, pretty progressive, as Crocker writes. Eventually, these became known as black and tan clubs, a term that had been around for decades. The phrase became fairly popular to the point where one Seattle establishment, formerly known as the Alhambra, changed its name to the Black and Tan in 1933. Speakeasies also brought around a bit more gender equality. According to Crocker, before Prohibition, women were generally expected to keep their alcohol consumption private, and certainly a lady would never be seen in a down and dirty saloon with the common drunks, who were men. But this all changed with Prohibition. For young women, it was an opportunity to mingle with men like never before and without the troublesome presence of chaperones or noisy church ladies.
God, there's nothing better than mingling with men. I'll tell you what. They just
have a mingle.
God, it's great.
Is that where the term mingers came from? People who like to mingle?
Yeah, almost certainly. Yeah. Yep.
I haven't heard the word in a while, but that makes you think, doesn't it? That's the main thing about the show, isn't it?
Makes you think, yeah.
You don't learn a lot, but it will make you think and probably Google to check the facts.
A lot more questions than answers.
Yeah.
That's what life's all about.
Yes.
But apparently all of this led to dating, you know?
I've heard
it was
of that.
like courting and stuff. But now it's like, want to go to a movie? Want to go bowling?
Oh, you can hang.
I guess so, yeah.
Want to push the bottle smashing button?
Watch this, they freak out.
Yeah, this is great.
And it also ruins our night because we won't get any more drinks, but I've already ordered 6 from the bar. Rorabaugh suggests, as well as doubling the potential business by allowing women, that's good business, there are other benefits as well, writing, when both men and women entered the doorway, outsiders, including members of the Anti-Saloon League, were less likely to suspect that alcohol was being served. There's like, women are going in, they're not going to be drinking.
That's right.
I guess this place is fine. I guess this heaving party places, they're all probably just drinking Bruce juice.
They're going to be riding horses on the beach. They're going to be playing tennis in all white. It's not going to be drinking happening there. That's crazy.
Maybe holding hands. I hope not, though. Crocker continues, to help encourage this increasingly gender diverse clientele, speakeasies might change how they do business. A few places added table service. This more discreet way of ordering was considered more accessible to women who might still be shy about public drinking. And don't make me stand at the bar. That's very unladylike. If they come to me, it's a bit more subtle.
And then I'll drink it under the table.
Yes. Really long straw.
I'll be under here. Yeah.
And rather than expect women to just sit around drinking, speakeasy managers began to expand their entertainment options, adding live music and dance floors to make it a real party. Rorabaugh writes, decor and attractive male bartenders were used to draw women who came alone, with friends, or with dates. All 3 options were available to women all of a sudden. Alone, friends, or dates. No chaperones and nosy church ladies, though.
That's exactly
right. They can
right.
stay out. Crocker continues, with the combined powers of a decent drink, good music, and an energetic dance like the Charleston, many women found it easier than ever to enter the speakeasy and be as daring as they please. This is flapper times, baby. They're flipping, they're flapping.
Wow.
Not everyone was pleased, though, as Rorabaugh writes. Elders were alarmed that young men and women drank together. To the young, the idea of prohibition seemed bizarre and unfair. You know, by 1926, when they're becoming 21 or however I can't remember when the 21 thing happened, but that was also done by the dry movement. They got it moved from 18 to 21. Doesn't matter, but
classic them.
But yeah,
like
31,
they were kids when it came in, and now they're going, why is this happening? This is weird. In 1926, a poll found that 4/5 of Yale University students opposed prohibition. Drinking, and they had access to all the good stuff.
That's right.
Or at least their teachers did. Drinking was just one way young women rebelled. Flappers talked dirty, bobbed their hair, wore short skirts, put on lipstick, and carried flasks in their boots. They also listened to jazz. Prohibition and the speakeasy culture it gave birth to led to a real boom time for jazz. The Mob Museum notes that jazz had already been around for some time prior to Prohibition, but it was the abolition of alcohol nationwide that created a lively and lucrative nightclub culture. Crocker writes, for some of the lower class spots, one of the newfangled jukeboxes, they weren't called that at the time. At first they were called, that's some other name, but I think in the late 20s, early 30s, they became known as jukeboxes. But it was much better to have live musicians. And as the Mob Museum continues, that culture advanced the careers of major jazz performers such as Louis Armstrong, King Oliver, Duke Ellington, Fats Waller, Paul Whiteman, and jazz itself as an art form.
If we didn't have that, we wouldn't have Revolver nightclub in Melbourne. We wouldn't have Billboard.
Were they just the nightclubs, or do they start off as jazz clubs?
I don't know.
Okay. Probably.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That's another question for you.
Yeah. I was just thinking about thriving nightlife and culture in Melbourne, more so
and
than
they're
that.
two fantastic examples of it.
That's what I'm telling you.
I remember never getting there at 3 a.m. and going, why have I done this? I lined up to be in here. Why did I do that?
We wouldn't have the Tote. Wouldn't have the Punters Club.
That's true.
It's so true, isn't it?
That is so true.
Yeah.
Truth. You are speaking. You're not even speaking. You're spitting truth.
That's right.
Hey, don't speak easy on these. You can speak those loud. Loud and proud. The Mob Museum continues. The new opportunities for live musicians in higher paying clubs would foster two types of jazz in the 1920s.
Cool jazz and hot jazz?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Wet and dry.
Yeah,
Hot, there was heaps, actually.
Sticky
slippery jazz.
That's my favourite.
Yeah.
I love slippery jazz.
From New Orleans, where Armstrong and Oliver originated, came a style in which musicians performed together as an ensemble. In Chicago, a free-form improvisational style arose. Armstrong, who moved with Oliver to Chicago in 1922, became a big success as a jazz recording artist, as did Bessie Smith, who recorded 180 songs during the decade. Some of their jazz records openly referred to illegal booze. One of Smith's songs, called Me and My Gin, include the refrain, "Any bootlegger sure is a pal of mine."
And here's my address.
Armstrong recorded a popular song about drinking titled Knockin' a Jug.
That's really good.
It is really good. I like it. I haven't heard it, but I love it.
I'd love to knock a jug.
Apparently, speaks were much more queer-friendly than the broader society as well. As Crocker writes, Prohibition-era speakeasies could host LGBTQ guests and performers with far more frequency than the rest of the world was willing to accept. According to History.com, gay culture enjoyed a new era of openness during the 1920s. Drag balls in which attendees thumbed their noses at gender norms while strutting their stuff in glamorous gowns had already been a fixture of metropolitan nightlife in places like New York City. By Prohibition, thousands of people took part. So with Crocker, it was such a force in speakeasy culture of the time that people dubbed the proliferation of drag performers and LGBTQ-friendly spots the pansy craze.
Oh,
that's a bit of fun. Does the Mob Museum have anything to say about the LGBTQ
I don't have anything here from the Mob Museum.
Interesting. All right.
You're familiar
we think they're all right.
Hey, they're all right by us. As long as they're buying our liquor, their money's all right here. Is that what the mob sound like?
That's what the mob sound like. That was,
Still, Crocker, though members of the community would have to endure a cultural backlash in future decades, the more open world of the speakeasies set the stage for gay culture of the future. There were even dedicated LGBTQ speakeasies. Visitors to Harry Hansberry's Clam House in New York. Clam House is so good. Mm-hmm. I love the pansy craze at the Clam House. It sounds like a meal. I'll just get the pansy craze, thanks. And a Clam House. That's the chaser.
What about a lime Ricky? Wash it all down.
Oh my God, do you reckon they do them here?
At the Clam House,
I've got the taste for them now. The Clam House was one of the best-known underground spots catering to gay clientele, and it might even have seen legendary blues singer Gladys Bentley performing on stage.
Even Gladys Bentley?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Bentley, an icon of the Harlem Renaissance and member of the LGBTQ community, was often dressed in a stylish, traditionally masculine suit and top hat. Probably made it sound like it was an entirely lawless time, and that's not quite the case. Plenty of speakeasies, bootleggers, and moonshiners did get busted over the decade or longer of Prohibition.
And remember, everybody's cars got ticketed for being outside the speakeasy for longer than 2 hours.
That's right.
But
yeah, you could drink driving was fine. They didn't have breathalyzers. And also, what is even drinking? Like, I'm not allowed to.
Yeah, well, I know.
Why would you even be
breathalyzer
checking?
Test you for something that you're not allowed to have.
Yeah, why would you even be testing me?
It's not possible to have. Officer.
But yeah, so a lot of people got busted. Keith
Not Keith.
Not Keith. I was thinking of not Keith.
No,
Shit.
maybe Keith wanted me, of all the people who suggested these topics, Keith was the only one who wanted me to talk about some narcs. And Keith wanted me to, so maybe he was busted and he's like, get a plea bargain. I'll get a mention on a podcast.
Get a podcast to snitch on everybody else, and I'll get a reduced sentence.
He wanted me to talk about agents Izzy and Mo. And luckily for us, old mate Rorabaugh dedicates a couple of paragraphs to them writing. Through self-promotion, the Prohibition Bureau agents Izzy Einstein and Mo Smith, another Smith, frequently made the New York Times. It's so funny they're busting people and then they're like leaking the story to the press. Oh, I heard Izzy and Mo have done it again.
They could do interviews, but they had to wear like those Daft Punk helmets.
Einstein apparently was a natural actor and he loved faking his identity to catch liquor violators. He appeared to care less about prohibition and more about being able to con crooks. At one time or another, he pretended to be a rabbi, a violinist, a fisherman, a baseball player,
construction
an
worker, Native American, cop. Didn't work out so well.
This is the one. I'm undercover. Don't worry. I'm a cop. I'm undercover as a dodgy cop. I mean, not undercover. I'm overcover.
Some of the outfits require a bit more work than others, don't they? Violin player.
Yeah. Here's a violin. Iceman. I'm picturing, Schwarzenegger in Batman
Mr.
and Robin.
Freeze for sure.
Also an undertaker. His victims fell for his phony lines and tried to sell them liquor, whereupon the game was up. Public support of prohibition continued to drop as the 20s ended and the 30s began. Because of this, Franklin D. Roosevelt's platform for the presidency included a call for the repeal of prohibition.
Oh,
he was the losing vice president nominee 10 odd years back.
Yeah.
In the meantime, he'd done a bit of state politics and stuff. Anyway, cool. And just waiting while the incumbent presidents were being tarred with the disaster that was going on.
Yeah.
So it was pretty much like whoever got the opposition ticket.
Roosevelt re-emerged with a cool new haircut and some sunglasses and like a whole new look. Like when you go from primary school to high school or whatever, it's like, I'm going to reinvent myself as the cool president.
I could be anyone now.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Call me Cobra.
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
According to Klein, by the 1930s, it was clear that prohibition had become a public policy failure. The 18th Amendment to the US Constitution had done little to curb the sale, production, and consumption of intoxicating liquors.
No, it sounded like it did pretty well.
And while organised crime flourished, tax revenues withered. As with the start of Prohibition, women played an instrumental role in its demise, as Miller and Brown write. Many of the women who had previously fought for Prohibition and suffrage campaigned for repeal.
And
here we go.
Yeah, I will keep singing until you bring in the booze. Bring it in or I'll keep singing.
There's someone went around with an axe and put bottles back together. Pauline Sabin, a New York socialite active in Republican politics, once commented that, quote, I felt I should approve of it because it would help my two sons. The word pictures of the agitators carried me away. I thought a world without liquor would be a beautiful world. But then she realized that the men who supported strict enforcement of prohibition drank cocktails behind closed doors. She also came to the epiphany that, quote, children are growing up with a lack of respect for the Constitution and for the law. She formed the Women's Organization for the National Prohibition Reform, or WANPU, in Chicago in May of 1929, along with the wives of some of America's industrial leaders. Many middle-class housewives saw it as an opportunity to hobnob with the hoi polloi.
I love hobnobbing with the hoi polloi.
If I'm going to hobnob with anyone, it's the hoi polloi, right? It's hoi polloi or nothing. Others were disenchanted.
Hobnob with the bourgeoisie, eh? I don't think so.
No, not for me.
No.
Others were disenchanted that the promised utopian society had turned out to be more of a purgatory. Membership grew to 1.5 million within 2 years, embracing women from all economic levels, and branched out its chapters in 41 of the 48 states. The WANPU was not alone. It was joined with the Association Against the Prohibition Amendment. That was one. Voluntary Committee of Lawyers, the VICL, I guess. The Crusaders and the American Hotel Organization united with the WANPA to form the United Repeal Council.
The Crusaders, but for booze this time.
yeah, that's right.
We understand our name might be a little bit ambiguous. It might sound like we're against booze, but we're actually for booze this time. We're still Crusaders, though.
Yeah, we're crusading pro-booze.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they all grouped together and lobbied at both the 1932 Republican and Democratic conventions. 8 other national and regional special interest groups placed additional pressure on both national and regional levels. Klein continues, in February of 1933, Congress easily passed a proposed 21st Amendment. Obviously, there was a couple of amendments in the meantime.
Oh, yes.
Don't ask me what they were. We don't have the time. We do, of course we do, but I just don't know. We got to leave time for future episodes about all the amendments.
That's right. We're going to do block next year will be the top 9 amendments.
But basically, the 21st Amendment.
You're going to give your opinion on the Second Amendment, aren't you?
Can't wait to hear that.
That's right.
Finally, Dave speaks out.
Yeah, we have to wait nearly a full year till block next year.
So the whole point of the 21st Amendment was getting rid of the 18th Amendment.
Oh, no.
Everyone knows 18 minus 21 equals 0. So 17 of the 22 senators who voted for Prohibition 16 years earlier now approved its repeal. So it was clear the tide had turned and everyone was off.
Classic police. There they are.
For the first time in American history, a constitutional amendment had been repealed. Soon, President Franklin D. Roosevelt, who obviously
President Roosevelt
won in a big way, issued a proclamation declaring...
D stands for dynamite.
He issued a proclamation declaring the end of Prohibition while also admonishing the country to drink responsibly and not abuse this return of individual freedom, saying, I trust in the good sense of the American people, that they will not bring upon themselves the curse of excessive use of intoxicating liquors to the detriment of health, morals, and social integrity.
And that
kind of like you've been doing for the last 16
and
years.
that model has since been adopted by advertising for every alcohol and gambling company in the world. We're bringing it all back, folks. You can do anything you want.
Yeah.
Drink responsibly, though.
Yeah.
Wink.
Drink responsibly. We'll say really quickly at the end, just drink responsibly. It seemed that they followed this request, though, as Klein writes. Cities reported that arrests for drunkenness were no different than those during a normal weekend night during Prohibition, when a lot of people were also drunk, but only on weirder booze. While some predicted it was going to be a wild celebration, that was not to be. But why not? Boozing was legal once more. Why didn't it go off in a big bang? Well, as Ockrent writes, the 21st Amendment actually made it harder, not easier to get a drink, because along with legislation came regulations on closing hours, age limits, and Sunday service.
Oh, but before that, they were just they're their own bosses.
If you want to pay, you can get booze. It might kill you, but you can get it.
Yeah.
Still, the end of Prohibition resulted in a financial windfall for the federal government, which, according to Ockrent, collected more than $258 million in alcohol taxes in the first year after a repeal.
And that was a lot of money back then.
Like pocket change now. But in the 30s, that was a lot of money. Those millions, which accounted for nearly 9% of the government's tax revenue, helped to finance Roosevelt's New Deal programs in the ensuing years. And that's the end of my report on Prohibition. Now, I would say things didn't just go back to normal. Organized crime remained. So many things changed. Nighttime culture remained. Men and women continued to hang out together.
So it sounds like it did change.
I've never experienced that. I don't know what you're talking about.
I've only read about it.
Yeah.
Like in the ensuing years, it did, there were positives for, some minority groups that beforehand weren't able to go to the bar and hang out together. And women were allowed in now, and that kept going forward. So I guess there's progress on that front.
But also, unfortunately, and probably played into the ending of Prohibition was the Great Depression was also hitting at that point. So things were changing in a lot of different ways as well. And that did stymie a lot of the progressive movements that were happening. I read somewhere that if it wasn't for the Great Depression, the 20s into the 30s would have been more like what the 60s ended up being.
Right, because it was sort of it was moving upward trajectory, and then it just got
women's lib and all that sort of stuff I had to worry about, being desperate. I think that's and depressed. The economy. Yeah. Anyway, Meso, thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely. What a wonderful report.
Should we have one last break to go get some lime rickies?
I think so, yeah. Yeah, let's do it.
And we're back from the Lime Ricky Bar. My goodness.
We drank them dry. There's no more Lime Rickies left in Melbourne, if there ever was any.
That was the best Ricky session I've ever had.
Yeah, I've never ricked harder than that.
I ricked it.
Rick it up. Thank you so much for joining us, Meso.
What a delight! It's always wonderful to be here, especially in the room that I've demanded.
I think, I think you might have been on every block because you did the original block. You told us the story of Batman. I know one block you told us about Ninja Turtles. You're on the episode about Lost City of Atlantis.
Yeah. So I had to give Jess some poisoned liquor and get her off for the week.
Well, we needed you here.
Yeah, you would have been here anyway, I'm sure. Yeah. But so I'm so stoked that you're able to make it back in. Keep this tradition rolling. We actually one block, one of the Patreon bonus reports was actually the life of Meso.
That's right.
Okay. You did that one for real.
By popular vote.
Okay.
They wanted that on the main feed. We're like, I reckon we could get a bonus out of this.
Oh, yeah.
I learned a lot about you.
Just made some stuff up, I presume.
No, I mainly got the info from your mouth.
Oh, interesting.
On the Daniel Connell podcast.
Oh, there you go.
He really got you chatting.
All right.
And then I think I made up other stuff.
Yeah, nice. That's great. Yeah, cool.
If people listen, they have to guess which one and comment yes or no.
They can check that out. Meso, any guesses for what number one will be for block this year?
Ooh, could it be Prohibition?
Oh,
this time it's personal.
Unfortunately,
extra Prohibition.
We have a double indemnity rule. No, what is it? Double jeopardy rule.
Okay, you
can't
be convicted of a second podcast topic twice.
Yeah,
that's so true, isn't it?
Yeah. Even if it won the vote, we'd have to discount it. So that was number 4. We're counting down 3 to go. My goodness.
Would it be the Corvette?
Oh my God, he's got it.
The little red Corvette.
We'll have to beat that because we don't want people to know we want it to be a success.
Yeah. Thanks. It really is always a pleasure to have you here. People, if they want to hear more of you, you talk about movies and comic books and TV shows.
That's correct. Over on the podcast, The Weekly Planet, and also the video channel Mr. Sunday Movies on YouTube with James, who's been here before. We talked about Star Wars and such and so forth.
You guys are so funny together.
We have a good time.
You're one of the world's great combos, like people and alcohol.
Oh, yeah.
When you come together,
people
anything can
have
happen.
the choice to drink alcohol if they want.
That's right.
But I mean, they call one of us Lime and one of us Ricky. But which one? We'll never tell. Which is which?
Lime Ricky is a good nickname.
Isn't it, though? Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah. Can we start calling you Lime Ricky?
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks,
Lime Ricky.
Okay.
Thanks, Moist Boy.
The Moist Boys.
Moist Boys. We did it.
That's right.
Man, we're all sitting in a big puddle now.
I want you to get up first. I'll stay here.
Dave, say goodbye to Meso.
Meso, goodbye.
Goodbye, Dave.
See you, Meso.
Bye.
Well, as we say goodbye to the great man, Nick Mason, we say hello to the greater man, Jess Perkins.
Thank you. I'm the greatest man.
The greatest man of all.
Mm-hmm.
You know, as a feminist, I think the greatest man of all is a woman.
Yeah, no, that's the same thing I said, but explained back to me. Yeah.
He said it a little bit louder.
And
Speak up,
and not
mate.
quite as high. It's like it's hard to...
Yeah, less whiny.
Yeah.
And did you notice I lent in?
Yeah.
Okay, these are some things that you could do if you listen to me and take my course. Feminism for gals. So what are we doing? Well, we are welcoming Jess back. She missed the episode, had to pull out late. Unfortunately, you were sick, but you are betterish.
Betterish.
Yeah.
Just a different sick.
Yeah, but we will still accept praise for Bob.
I think pray for Bob is always probably wise.
Just in case.
Yeah.
It's fine. I think it's become more and more relevant as the years have gone on.
Yeah, I don't know even how it started or why, but more recently it's more relevant.
Yeah. It probably started off slightly jokingly.
Yeah.
But now it is legit. Please pray for Bob.
Sounds like we're being really cryptic. I just get migraines a lot. That's what we're talking about.
Yes.
I didn't want people to be like, is she dying?
Is she?
Or
is she shitting herself
like
right now?
any woman who throws up ever in a TV show, is she pregnant? You know?
Oh, yeah. Pray for Bob.
Pray for Bob. Pray she gets over this awful affliction. No, I just get migraines. And but the time that Meso was here, I had come to work. Turns out I had taken too much of a medication, essentially poisoned myself and projectile vomited everywhere.
It was opium.
It was opium. I was trying out opium. Turns out it's not for me.
Yeah. She came straight from the den. So, Jess, you missed what I would call one of the best episodes of the year.
Wow. Would you like up there with, you know, do you think if people had voted on it, it would have been like top 9?
I think so, yes.
The top 9.
I don't know
52
where
for the
exactly in it, but it would be somewhere amongst the top 9.
Wow.
Yeah, the pointy end.
Huge.
Yeah, it's really big.
I'm sad to have missed it. I can't wait to listen.
Yeah, I think it...
I probably won't listen.
What?
I don't like listening to myself.
You're not...
I wasn't on it.
You weren't on it.
You can listen.
I don't like listening to you. Is Dave on it?
Yes. And Meso.
I do like Dave.
Does Dave and Meso outweigh me?
Yeah, Matt did do a lot of talking.
Yeah, but then it's just 3 white men.
Why don't you listen in the car?
Yeah, I can listen in the car.
That'd drown me
Can't
out.
hear you anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, perfect.
It's weird that my voice is drowned out by engines. I don't really understand why that would be. I don't really understand why that would be. That makes no sense. No sense to me. Anyway, we're here to thank some of our great Patreon supporters. That's what Jess came in, even though sick. She's like, you know what? I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck.
I don't give a fuck about Matt's little story from history.
Don't care.
But what I do give a fuck about are great Patreon supporters.
I give several fucks about them.
You will fuck all night for them.
I will. I will and I do.
Yeah. Which probably explains why we get some of these migraines.
I'm not sleeping.
Have a rest, mate.
No. It's all for them.
It's for them.
It's all for them.
I do it for them.
I do it for them.
There's a picture of all of them above your bed.
I am in so much pain.
So the way we do this, for people who don't know, is we go to our Patreon at patreon.com/sugaronpod, and people on there who've supported at various levels get different kinds of shout-outs and whatnot. Dave, you can maybe explain a little bit better than that.
Yeah, I mean, we basically reward you for rewarding us for making the show.
Hey, you scratch my back, I scratch your back.
Exactly. We'll scratch your back with access to the Facebook group. Bonus episodes. We do basically 1 a week these days, 4 per month, and you get access to the back catalogue, which is closing in on 250. So there's literally hundreds of hours of content that you can unlock by supporting the show, but also you can get voting for topics, early access to tickets, discounts. So in some ways, this thing pays for itself.
Yeah.
Some ways. You'd be a fool not to.
Exactly. There's never been a better time.
Did you mention the ad-free feed?
And there's an ad-free feed. That's right. If you go, which is the same as the bonus episode one. That's basically the one that we're like, hey, this is the best value we think. You get 4 bonus episodes per month and ad-free listening to all of our new episodes. So all of Block, that's ad-free.
But if you're an absolute king and you sign up on the Sydney Scheinberg level, which is all of that, plus you get to be in the Fat Quarter Questions section.
Exactly.
Which is this section we're about to do, which actually has a jingle, I think, or something like this.
Fact, quote, or question.
He always remembers to sing, she always remembers to sing. And the way this works is if you're on that Sydney Scheinberg level or above, you get to give us a fact, quote, or question, or a brag, or a suggestion, or really whatever you like. You also get to give yourself a title. I'm reading out 3 this week. The first one comes from Stephen Edmonds, whose title is Watcher of Too Much YouTube. Ooh, and I think Stephen actually created this subcategory of fact, quote, or question, the recipe. And Stephen writes,
yes,
if you happen to find yourself with 3 overripe bananas, then I think the best thing to do with them is to make banana muffins.
Wow, I've actually got 4 right now. Is that too many?
That's too many. You should have eaten those bananas.
Okay,
That's wasteful.
I'll have the other one and make a smoothie out of it.
Beautiful. And then the 3, tell me what to do with them.
All right. Stephen says, I'm not going to repeat the recipe here, but I got it from Evan and Caitlin's YouTube channel in their Making Banana Muffins While Blindfolded video.
Oh.
Is that a prerequisite?
I have made it a couple of times and the muffins have come out great. More so if you pour over melted butter and cover in cinnamon sugar. Oh, that does sound pretty good. So, yeah, basically Google Making Banana Muffins While Blindfolded. And
wow,
folded.
And thanks Stephen later. And I'll thank Stephen now though. Thank you, Stephen. Banana muffins, banana pancakes, another good option there, perhaps. Thank you, Stephen. Next one comes from Kevin Ulysses Packrad, aka Thingus Bingus Cunnilingus. Beautiful name for a boy or girl. And Thingus is offering us a fact here, writing, here's a little fun movie fact. We'll wait to see if Jess agrees. In 2006, after the release of his movie Inland Empire, David Lynch wanted to run an Oscar campaign for Laura Dern's performance in the film. But because it was self-financed, he had no money to run any ads or anything like that. Instead, on December 13th, 2006, Lynch sat on a corner of Hollywood Boulevard and La Brea with a giant poster of Laura Dern with the caption, "For your consideration." He also sat next to, what else? A live cow. Oh, I love a bloody live cow. Don't think I'd make it sit on the corner of a busy street, but, put it in a big grassland and just me and it hugging it out. There was also a second poster next to the cow that said, without cheese, there wouldn't be an inland empire. When someone asked what he meant by this, he said, cheese is made from milk. Get it? Personally, I don't get it.
What?
Nor do I get most of the film Inland Empire. But I love David Lynch, and I hope he gets to eat as much cheese as he likes.
Wow.
All I know is that Inland Empire would make for a very interesting episode of the Do Go On Movie Club.
Wow.
Thank you so much for that beautiful fact.
I love Laura Dern.
Kevin, I love Laura Dern too.
Yeah.
I love Laura Dern more.
One of my favourite Nepo babies. I mean, they pretty much all of Hollywood is.
They're all Nepo babies.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
That's fine.
That's okay.
As a lot of them will tell you, they still had to work really hard.
Yeah. Some doors were opened. Sure.
And honestly, they weren't even really for me. Yeah, all right. Well.
Yeah, okay.
I much prefer to just say, look, I'm very lucky.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that I got a bonus lucky start here. But they really do say that. They always say, I worked just as hard as anyone, if not harder, living in the shadow of the person who got me all my auditions.
Yeah. Of the person who cast me in their films when I was quite young.
Okay.
Do you know how hard it is to be directed by your mum or dad?
It's hard.
It's really annoying.
It's tough.
I actually do. My mum taught me once.
Whoa.
And it was a bit weird.
That would be strange.
Was it for like
That's the main reason I didn't get into teaching. Didn't want to be called a Nepo baby.
Yeah.
Was it a short lesson or like for the year?
Was she subbing?
No, it was a short lesson of one day.
Yeah, and even then you were like, this is
I
weird.
lost my mind. I was in grade prep or grade one. Like I was little.
You were little, yeah.
And I remember just getting hyper and being confused.
Yeah.
And Mum was like, you're being weird.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know what's going on.
I don't know who I am.
What's happening? You're not a teacher, you're my mum.
Yeah.
What do I call you?
There's no teacher in our classroom. We can do whatever we want.
And then everyone's laughing at you for accidentally calling the teacher mum. It is actually my
It's my
mum.
mum.
That is my mum.
Did you ever have your mum as your librarian?
I had my dad as my salesman.
Oh, yeah. No, I would have gone to because my mum was a children's librarian specifically, so she would do weekly story time sessions.
Yeah,
and I would go to those. So
that's nice.
Yeah, and I was.
That's the only way
you
you get your mum to read you a book.
Yeah, I lost you exactly.
Yeah,
once a week.
She didn't bring her walk home.
No, you can't.
You can't.
It's like chefs don't want to cook at home.
Yeah.
Your mum didn't want to read to children at home.
God, this is me time.
Mum, you do it.
Yeah.
What did your dad sell you?
Ah, a good time.
Okay. 4-park super bars?
Yeah.
What are we doing? Where are we?
Who
What
knows?
am I saying?
Yeah, I got
I can't
lost.
remember what's happening. Oh, yeah, we're talking about Laura Dern. Great actor.
Laura Dern.
Big fan.
Yeah, big fan of Laura Dern. That's how we got onto that. Nepo baby.
I think I
was
just
it.
only recently realised that her dad was who her dad is.
I don't know who her dad is.
He's a guy you'd recognise if you saw him.
Right, okay.
Gary Dern.
And I looked it up. And Mum's also a 3-time Academy Award nominee. So.
Yeah.
So powerful parents.
That's powerful. But,
Diane Ladd.
It is funny because also I think it does make sense that
Bruce Dern,
yeah. It makes some sense that you would, growing up in it, you would have a natural talent for it probably. Yeah. But anyway, they never do say that when I got a mate who took over his dad's pool business.
So that's not Nepo, is it?
No one ever goes
That's
on
just
about,
the family business.
Oh, here we go.
Oh, Nepo pool boy.
I tried that as a bit at Adelaide Fringe, and I don't think either I didn't nail it or they were just like, yeah, great observation.
It was the crowd's problem.
Really,
I saw
really
it's not
funny
you.
stuff.
It's not you.
What was wrong
They
with
were
them?
wrong, and that's why we don't go to Adelaide.
They were
good
just a
stuff.
bit off, weren't
Yeah.
they? Not quite right.
Bit off that crowd.
That night.
Yeah.
I mean, all the other nights, fantastic. Anyway, where are we?
Another fact word or question.
And
I'm
the
guessing?
final one this week comes from Nick Verderosa, aka official Yankee of the podcast.
Okay.
Offering a question. I think this might be Nick's first time. Welcome, Nick. Hey, Bob, Cobra, and the bearded weirdo.
Hey.
7 years ago, via the Do Go On email account, Jess agreed to dub me the official Yankee of the pod. Now it's time to make it official. Excited I can join this level on Patreon to show my support for you three for bringing so much joy and laughter to me for nearly a decade. I thought I was very familiar with the name.
Right.
But because it was the first time, but he's upgraded.
That's nice. Welcome.
Welcome.
You get comfier seats now.
Oh, yeah.
A
These
little bit more leg room.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better food, slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dave will look you in the eye.
I won't, but
No.
But good on you.
Yeah, Doctor of Podcasts. That's the only level higher. That's if you want Jess's eyes.
Yeah.
You got to go up there. Anyway, continues saying, you've helped me get through a lot of ups and downs. For a title, and those who don't know, a Yankee is anyone from the northeast of the USA. It's funny because in Australia, it kind of just means Americans in general, but it is in America, it's very specific.
Oh, that's so true.
I am from Connecticut, the best state in New England, which leads me into my question. What is your favorite fact about your hometown? For me, my town, Bethel, Connecticut, is the birthplace of episode 282 topic P.T. Barnum. Our town has a P.T. Barnum Square, a statue of the greatest showman in front of our library and circus murals around town. I guess the weirdos from my town inspired him. Thank you guys again, and excited for you to come visit us in the good old US of A. Creamies on me.
Oh, wow. Yes, please. Obviously, Vermont being my favourite state of New England, but still, Connecticut, pretty good.
Yeah.
So fun facts about...
What's mine? I think mine are mainly Midwest. All my faves, aren't they? The
true.
Golden Mile.
True,
Yeah.
but you got a fact?
I was just thinking, so me personally, I'm from Melbourne. Melbourne is my hometown, and I guess my favourite fun fact is we have wonderful laneways and culture, and
That's true.
actually, it is quite interesting. We have very good coffee here.
Really?
Yeah. Not everybody knows that, and most Melburnians aren't insufferable about that.
No, that's true.
So that's a little hidden secret. No, I googled 10 interesting facts about Melbourne. It says Melbourne is home to wild penguins.
Oh, yeah.
Known for its iconic coffee culture.
It's the worst list, isn't it?
Hosted the 1956 Summer Olympics.
It's hard. Like, people go, oh, what should we see? And like, ugh. We're coming to Melbourne for a bit. What would you see? I don't know.
What would you?
It's nice to live here, though. Yeah.
What would you say about our weather?
Oh, 4 seasons in one day.
That's one of the options. And then the Great Ocean Road, which is approximately 2 hours out of Melbourne.
Yeah.
It's in Victoria, that's
Yeah.
for sure, but it is not in Melbourne.
So you didn't have any Mount Waverley specific?
No.
No.
I don't think there's anything particularly interesting about Mount Waverley. Nice suburb.
I would say I've just went to Brisbane recently. The coffee there is, I think,
Just as good.
as good.
Yeah,
as
yeah,
Melbourne.
yep.
I think all the things Melbourne's proud of, Brisbane does just as well.
Oh, yeah. Most big cities will do.
Yeah, around the world,
Yep. Yeah. Absolutely.
including like changeable weather. Although Brisbane is so nice and warm.
Yeah, but we'll go to Dublin pretty soon,
Their coffee's great.
their coffee's good, but their weather is it changes.
Oh, it does change.
Either of you have any fun facts about our town? McCafe started here, I'm pretty sure.
Oh my god! You told us about that in the McDonald's episode.
Yeah.
I was born in Kyneton. I only lived there for 4 or 5 years, but I think that Dee from Neighbours was from there as well.
Whoa.
I think I've looked up the Wikipedia page and the notable residents. I can't think of her actor's name.
Was that Holly Valance? Was Dee?
No, she was. I don't remember.
I never watched it.
I used to. Dee, I can't remember what Dee's real name is. But it does say Joe Camilleri is the only name that I recognise that is under notable residence, a.k.a. Jojo Zepp, Maltese-Australian singer-songwriter, frontman of Jojo Zepp and the Falcons and the Black Sorrows.
Dave, you've been tip-tap-tapping away over there. Have you found anything fun?
I also brought up the Wikipedia list for Eltham, the suburb that I grew up in, and I was like, scrolled down to the bottom, notable residents, it's like, oh my God, no way. Alan White, the former drummer of Oasis, was born in Eltham. Isn't that crazy?
What?
And I was like, that's really, really surprising. And then I looked into it, and I have loaded up the wiki page for Eltham in southeast London.
Okay.
I was like, what? Well, we've got former notable residents. Peter Hitchener, the Hitch.
The Hitch. You've met the Hitch before. You've partied with the Hitch.
I've met the Hitch. He's lovely.
It's great. I've also met Peter Hellier.
Wow.
Whoa.
Sophie Peters.
Kerry Armstrong.
Whoa, actress.
Cadell Evans.
Cadell, Tour of France winner.
Alistair Knox.
That's how I say Tour de France.
Tour de France.
Who I know from the Alistair Knox Park in Eltham, so that's why I know that one. So there you go, pretty good. Merrick Watts, another comedian.
Wilbur
Wild?
Oh my God.
Oh my God, who's from Jojo Zepp and the Falcons?
Really?
Whoa.
Why did I ever run into him at Coles?
That's crazy.
Or at Sammy's Charcoal Chicken.
Melbourne was originally named Batmania.
Yeah.
Do you know that's fun fact?
That's cool.
We had the first ever set of traffic lights in Australia.
Really?
And we have the largest tram system outside of Europe and the fourth largest in the world.
Whoa.
We act like it's the only city in the world.
I grew up believing that was true.
We're the only one with trams.
There's so many tram systems around the world.
And in Australia too.
Yeah. Hang on, what? When did you go on this? Oh, we've always had one.
For about 180 years.
Do you know Kyndon seems to have also been home of Bill Farnan, Australia's second heavyweight boxing champion.
Wow.
Like one of those guys who would front up like this, you know?
That's great.
I reckon that's a fantastic answer for that question.
Sorry, yes.
We've absolutely nailed that. I think we've found many fun facts.
There's someone called Polly Hurry. Anyway, great name. What are we doing? I'm feeling more lost than normal today.
Jess was trying to move it along.
Which is rare. It's rare that I do that.
That's right. So the question was from Nick Verderosa. Official Yankee of the podcast.
Yes, which I apparently agreed to 7 years ago.
I love that because you would have been like, we got a listener in America?
Yeah.
And the next thing we like to do is shout out to a few of our other fantastic supporters. Jess, you normally come up with a bit of a game. So today's episode was all about how America, the land of the free, did not allow people to drink alcohol.
Yep.
They kind of didn't anyway, for about 13 years, I think.
So how about we come up with the thing that these people are trying to ban?
Oh, yeah.
Great. Love that.
That's so good. So this is episode 472. Dave, do you want to give us the places? I'll give the names and Jess can give the... Oh, no. How about... We always make you do it. How about Jess, you do the place.
Okay.
Dave, do you want to do the band thing or the name? You do the band thing. I'll do the name.
Yeah, sorry. I misunderstood what you said, band thing. I was like, the music thing? Yes. What they're trying to ban. Absolutely.
So, first up, from Exeter in the UK.
It's Javo.
And Javo was trying to ban olive oil.
What?
They only want like sesame or avocado oil.
Wow, you only want the fancy oil.
Yeah, get rid of that olive oil, says Javo. And I'm like, okay.
All right. Olive oil can be expensive.
Yeah, really.
And sometimes we try to use a bit of vegetable oil instead.
Yes, and Javo's like, yeah, that's great. Or butter.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's other kinds of
or
fats.
just eat a banana.
Because Javo's from Devon, also trying to ban people doing scones wrong, which is jam first. Next up, where are they from, Bopper?
They are from Roslyn, also in the UK.
It's Katrina Maguire.
Katrina Maguire is trying to ban Shakespeare being taught in schools.
Whoa, I agree. It's too hard.
Just found it
very complicated.
Just found the part a bit confusing.
I think it was, people make it out like it's really important and stuff. It's not.
It's not. It's not important.
That's Katrina's main argument.
If Shakespeare was alive today, he wouldn't have written like that.
Yeah.
It's nonsense.
And if
now.
he did, people would be like, is everything okay?
Are you okay, the Bard? He wouldn't be known as the Bard.
Imagine being a teacher having to teach Shakespeare because you have to just stop every sentence and decipher it and go, okay, so what he's saying there is, no man of woman born. So like no person who's been born from like a mother, like a woman, right? 2, but like, oh God, tedious.
Could technically be cesarean though.
Yeah.
And as their eyes
Wink.
shift around the room.
Yeah. But hang on. I guess if you were born by a cesarean, maybe you're not. Maybe if you are.
Maybe there's a loophole there. Right in your mum's tummy.
Next up, from Dursley, also in Great Britain. My goodness.
It's Malika Lowry.
Malika is trying to ban haircuts.
Wow, just let it grow.
Just grow it out.
What about trimming a beard? Nothing?
Grow it out.
Grow everything out.
Exactly.
I think
Armpits?
Grow it out.
So just like no trimming of hair at all.
Malika had one bad haircut and was like, that's it.
I'm
Get
cool with
shut this
Malika's
shit
New
down.
World Order. Pretty comfortable in there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Malika.
Not. From Romford. Would you believe it? In Great Britain.
It's Ayaz Tariq.
Ayaz is trying to ban people wearing mismatched socks.
Oh.
They think it's disgusting.
Ayaz, you would hate my husband.
Yeah, never
Yesterday,
matches?
no, never.
No, his socks always match.
Yeah.
But yesterday,
Good one.
I don't get it.
He would just hate your husband.
Yeah, just saying it. Just saying
Oh,
it.
seriously. And that's probably fair too. Yesterday he had mismatched socks, but they both had sharks on them.
Oh, that's
So
cool.
it was they were matching in a way, but different shark
Yeah,
socks.
but that's not good enough for Ayaz. Ayaz would feel sick for
Agreed.
Do you know, I'm just looking up Ayaz the name. It means cool breeze or night breeze.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
That's a great name.
I like it a lot.
Fantastic name. Next up from Basildon in Great Britain.
Oh, it's Andrew Simmons.
Andrew Simmons is trying to ban streaming services. Bring back the VHS.
Andrew,
Oh,
you're
he's going
Bring it
back.
back, yeah.
Pre-DVD.
DVDs banned. Blu-rays banned. Laserdisc banned.
Just
VHS, yes please.
Beta? What does he sound on beta?
Banned.
Okay.
Whoa.
This guy's he's an alpha by the sound of it.
I don't know if I agree with this one. But okay, Andrew. I mean,
It's going to take us a while for our brains to get used to the poor quality again.
and having to rewind it.
It's funny because I remember when VHS came in and I was like, wow, this is new, this is fresh, this is hip.
Yeah.
But now looking back, I'm watching old VHS occasionally. It gives me a headache looking at it.
Yeah, it hurts. So, okay, Andrew, but I don't know if we can support you on that mission. From Springwood in New South Wales, finally, one Australian, the rest all English.
It's Moni Wazink.
Moni is trying to ban tattoo removal.
Yeah.
Live with your decisions.
mistakes.
Yes.
Yep. I get that.
I'm guessing that this would have been around the time that we did a pre-sale for patrons for the UK tour.
That makes sense
That
with
does
a
make
lot
sense.
of British.
A lot of people jumping on.
Whereas Moni just came in to support, the others are all trying to wet their beaks.
Yeah.
If I'm using
Trying to
that
get
term
cheap-
correctly. I don't
cheap
think I am. But I like the idea of wetting your beak is a great term. I tried to squeeze it in where it didn't belong. Just like
a wet beak.
Again, we did it again. I don't think it belonged there either. Where else we got?
From Warrington in Great Britain.
It's Billy Peacock. Speaking of wet beaks.
Billy Peacock is trying to ban goldfish as pets.
Right.
He wants you to let them free.
Yeah.
Straight into the...
Is it true that they get bigger if they're in a bigger thing? Or is that a myth?
I don't
I
know.
heard that. And that's like a koi fit, like one of those koi buns, just a big...
Yeah, why are you being so coy, fish?
Stop being so coy.
Stop being so coy. Tell us how you really feel.
Come on.
Fishy.
From Aberdeen
Aberdeen.
in the UK.
It's Mike Graves.
Mike Graves, sorry, I'm trying to look up goldfish now. Mike Graves is trying to ban the use of plastic flamingos.
Wow.
Hates them.
Tacky.
Yes, but apparently that's one of those facts. There's more fake flamingos in America than real ones.
That is a wild fact.
That is sad. That's a sad fact. Okay, Mike's just really into interior design and he's like, it's time. Okay, that's that.
It's over.
Flamingos they're in the past.
Yep.
Let's leave them there.
Are flamingos from America, though?
Yeah, I think you like Miami area, can't they?
Yeah, right. There you go.
Can't they be?
Can't they be? Jeez, can't they
Miami
be?
area, can't they be?
Who we got bringing up the rear
Yeah,
here?
native to Florida, but disappeared from the state around the turn of the 20th century.
What?
But after 1925, people started captive colonies of flamingos in South Florida, including a breeding colony, which still remains.
Wow.
You know, they get their colour from the algae they eat or whatever. Probably not algae, but yeah.
Oh.
Might not be algae, but it's some sort of, maybe the krill or the krull
Really?
or the...
Something like that.
And
some little thing.
finally, from Birmingham in Great Britain.
It's Eloise Tregortha.
Eloise is trying to ban the use of pens because they keep all the school excursions were to the Birmingham Pen Museum, and they're
she's
just
a left-hander.
taking a stance against it. Yeah, stop rubbing it in my face that I rub ink all over the page.
Okay.
It's very triggering for me.
Eloise Tregortha. That is a fantastic name. Thank you so much to Eloise, Mike, Billy, Moni, Andrew, Ayaz, Malika, Katrina, and Jarvo. And the last thing we need to do is welcome a few into our Triptych Club. The Triptych Club, Dave explains so well.
This is our Hall of Fame. The long-term supporters of the show that have been supporting the show for 3 consecutive years at the shout-out level or above. We welcome them into our clubhouse where we serenade them with music. We serve them food and drink. We provide them entertainment. We provide them a place to sleep if they need it.
Yeah, well, they do need it because they're not allowed to leave.
Yeah, they are. You do live here now. That's absolutely right.
And
But,
Dave, I don't think, have we ever mentioned this before, that it is a Hall of Fame and everyone gets a painted portrait of themselves down the hall?
Yes, we got the same artist that did Shane Warne's mural that he put together of him hanging out with, your Chris Martins, your Mike Tysons.
Your Jack Nicholsons.
Yeah, that's right. So we get that same great artist to paint you onto the wall.
Yeah.
And now there's 1,000 faces on that figure.
Yeah.
It's pretty awesome.
It's beautiful.
Pretty amazing
Yeah.
stuff.
It's overwhelming.
So try and spot yourself up there, find yourself up there. There's a big
Yeah.
wall. Big
Take
wall.
a moment with it. Really, soak it in.
And I'm just having a look. We're only a year away from the first people being inducted into the Triptych Club
Whoa.
for 9 years
Wow.
of support, which is why we're busily working on it. It's being built at the moment. That's why you might notice some scaffolding up.
Yeah.
That is a new separate extra area for the Trippers.
Yeah.
But they're not going to be starting to be inducted until November 2025.
The infinity pool is looking great.
It is looking so
looking
good. That
really
bit
nice.
is complete.
Yeah. But you are not allowed in it.
No. Well, not. Some of you will.
We are.
I mean,
because we've been here from day one. Nobody has supported us longer than we've been here.
I don't think so.
It's not possible.
Maybe Evan Munro Smith with
Evan
technical
Munro Smith.
support.
Evan can be in the pool.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll put him in. Put him in the pool.
He's fully dressed.
Put him in the pool. And he goes. All right. So we've got 3 names to be inducted this week. But before we get there, Jess, you're behind the bar. Are you serving anything up in the club?
Certainly not. No.
Because of Prohibition.
Yes.
And Jess is winking, actually.
No, I don't have anything secret.
You don't know about this, but a lot of the Moonshine killed people.
What?
Are you serving anything like that?
No.
No. Okay. Well, that's probably good. I think nothing is better than that.
People were desperate to have a drink. It was kind of wild.
I have got moonshine, but it is too hot.
Oh, my God. Hot Moonshine?
It won't kill you. Well, unless you have it
It
right
will
away.
burn.
It's very,
you've got to
very
let
hot.
it cool down.
Okay. And Dave, have you booked a band?
Yes, coming in this week. I mean, one of the all-time greats. We've got Iggy Pop.
Whoa. Lust for Life.
Lust for Life, that's right.
You're going to be my dog.
Well,
that was just a question, Dave.
well, I don't want to be it. No.
That was, seek and destroy or search and destroy. I get Metallica's one and there's confused.
And he's going to be doing solo stuff and also Stooges stuff. So
Is he going to be doing Candy, the duet with maybe one of the B-52s?
I don't
Wow.
know.
Who was that with? Candy, 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 I can't let you go.
I don't know it, no.
Oh, my love.
Maybe I will
you so.
when I hear the actual song.
Oh, yes.
It took me so long to realise. I genuinely, I was fully an adult before I realised that it wasn't coincidental that no one could ever recognise the song I was trying to tell them. So I don't sound anything, but I feel I'm like, no, you know this song. It goes, kinda, no idea. And honestly, it would have been 100 people going before I eventually went, Oh, I don't sound like
problem
I
is
think
me.
I sound.
Yeah.
Your whole life.
Yeah. Oh, you know,
Yeah, you know, like singing some of the most famous songs ever. Let It Be.
Yeah. It's like not even
sorry.
the words aren't helping me. You're making it sound so different that the words sound like different words.
I mean, I know the Beatles Let It Be, but that's not that.
No.
There must be a different Let It Be. What one are you talking about?
So we've got 3 inductees this week. Dave, did you say yes? Iggy Pop.
Iggy Pop.
also,
American icon.
Maybe most famously as the Rage intro. I'm a real wild one. And he's crawling around and stuff. What a performance. All right, so Dave, you ready?
Absolutely.
You're up on the stage. You're hyping them up. Please hang around, everybody, for Iggy Pop.
Sorry, Dave, if you can just come a bit closer. I can't reach your butt. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thanks so much.
Oh, thank you.
Jeez, how's your father?
First up from Tulare. Oh. In California, yeah, it's Candace Harrison.
Candace Harris, son of a preacher man.
Candy. I hope you don't mind me calling you Candy. Candace Harrison, am I right in thinking that she's the one who has made the doc of things I've said not right?
I believe so, yes. Matt misremembers.
Doing God's work, which you can find in the Patreon Facebook group. I'd also love to welcome in, thank you so much for your support from New York, it's James Lee.
I want to, James Lee.
Oh my God. Yes.
That is easily the best you've ever done.
Agreed. I don't need to hype him at all. That was perfection.
Yeah,
Dave,
that felt good.
Was that accidental?
That felt good.
That was fantastic.
Oh my God.
I've been waiting years for that,
I
James
am
Lee.
Such a shame that you got one more to go.
I know. Why can't we go? I've gone with a musical theme, so let's try and keep it going.
Here we go.
And finally, from Newcastle, Steel City in New South Wales, it's Jess Evans.
Seventh Jess Evans.
Yeah,
Like Seventh Heaven?
it was. James Lee was the best.
Buying a stairway to Jess Evans.
Yeah.
And
Slash of
he's
Jess Evans.
climbing a stairway, Jess Evans.
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah, that's pretty
That's
good.
pretty good.
Well, the way Jess did it was.
Yeah, the way
yeah.
I fixed it was pretty good, yes.
You slid a few puzzle pieces across the
Well,
Jess said,
I wrote it. You just performed it.
you said, can
And
you
I'll
make
take my
this
royalty.
make sense? You gave her a muddled up Rubik's Cube and she did that blindfold thing with one hand.
You think that was okay? Great.
I don't think I know.
You've hit a nerve.
Welcome in, Jess, and I'm so sorry Dave peaked early. James and Candy.
Yeah, let's not forget.
Candace.
I want to, James Lee.
Let's not forget it.
That brings us to the end of the episode. Anything we need to tell everyone just before we go?
That you can suggest a topic and we would absolutely love you to. The link is in the show notes. You can also go to our website, which is dogoonpod.com. And you can find us on social media at dogoonpod or dogoonpodcast on TikTok. Dave, boot this baby home.
We will be back next week with another blocktastic episode.
We're about to hit the podium.
Oh my goodness, what could be the top 3 this year? We've already had some big hitters. We've got 3 even bigger topics to go. But until then, I'll say thank you so much for listening and goodbye.
Later.
Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one website platform for entrepreneurs to stand out and succeed online. Whether it's your first ever website or your business is expanding, Squarespace makes it easy to create a beautiful website and engage with your audience.
Yeah, they make it really easy to connect your socials and your multimedia accounts to your website in just a few clicks as icons, direct links, or embedded feeds. Sellers can also sync their product catalog directly with Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and Google to reach more customers and reduce the steps for a purchase. Make it nice and easy.
I'm just going to come out and say it. I love Squarespace.
Yeah.
I've been holding that in for a little bit, and it feels good to get off my chest. I love Squarespace.
I'm glad you went first because I'm going to back you up right now.
You love
I agree.
Squarespace? Oh my God, Jess.
Guys, I've always loved
Okay.
Squarespace.
Hey, did you know Squarespace has now introduced design intelligence? What does this mean? Well, let me put it into terms that even I can understand. Basically, it's the culmination of 2 decades of industry-leading design expertise with cutting-edge AI technology to unlock your strongest creative potential.
That's basically what it is.
That's basically, just to put it into terms that we can all understand, design intelligence empowers anyone to build a beautiful, more personalised website tailored to their unique needs and craft a bespoke, and this is what we're talking about, the the three of us, most bespoke types in town. Digital identity, a bespoke digital identity to use across one's entire online presence.
Yeah, but let's not just talk about the online presence. Let's talk cold hard cash. Okay. And Squarespace Payments is the easiest way to manage your payments in one place.
Can I quickly just insert a sound effect there? Cha-ching.
Yes. It's very fast and easy to set up. You can get started in just a few clicks and start receiving payments straight away.
We love it. And listen up if you want to have a little saving your way too, because head to squarespace.com/do-go-on. That's squarespace.com/do-go-on for a free trial and to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain.
1-800-Flowers.com knows that a gift is never just a gift. A gift is an expression of everything you feel and helps build more meaningful relationships. 1-800-Flowers takes the pressure off by helping you navigate life's important moments by making it simple to find the perfect gift. From flowers and cookies to cake and chocolate, 1-800-Flowers helps guide you in finding the right gift to say how you feel. To learn more, visit 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST. That's 1-800-Flowers.com/ACAST.
Don't forget to sign up to our tour mailing list so we know where in the world you are and we can come and tell you when we're coming there.
Wherever we go, we always hear 6 months later, oh, you should come to Manchester. We were just in Manchester.
We were just there, but this way you'll never miss out. And don't forget to sign up, go to our Instagram, click our link tree. Very, very easy.
It means we know to come to you, and you'll also know that we're coming to you.
Yeah, we'll come to you, you come to us. Very good.
And we give you a spam-free guarantee.